All right, 6 o'clock, so we'll call the main meeting to order. Changes to the agenda.
I just want to rearrange the order a little bit. So, the safety and security, we can have the follow-up and then also move up the grounds and transportation up sooner. That way Bill won't have to sit through everything, like he can go after the, principal reports, and then we can have him do his stuff, and then we can have 5 of us on there.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, agenda's approved. Go on to the consent items.
So the sign down payment is listed in the predates this time, but that's the one that will be kind of like an in and out situation, is that right? They covered by
The grant.
the grant money.
Oh, actually,
No, remember we switched that because we were gonna get an architect involved and all that good stuff. So we will cover the door locks. Those full door locks under the grant.
okay,
And so it's a flip flop. I mean, they're basically about the same money, so.
okay. So it'll come from the construction account, the leftover of the construction.
Question, anybody? Take a motion to approve the consent items.
I'll motion to approve the consent items.
Second. Second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Consent items are approved. Correspondence.
So I just passed that around. It's a note from Mr. Ratliff, a graduation announcement. And then we also like to acknowledge Teacher Appreciation Week, or we call it Staff Appreciation Week. We put everybody in there. But it was great. I mean, our PTO and Bedco and Growing Greatness, Hassan, I think, forget anybody that helped sponsor it. They brought treats and goodies and coffee and that one taco place had a food truck. It was a really, really nice week to celebrate staff, and just want to thank you to everybody for that, and just thanks to the teachers for the job that they do and the staff that they do every day. And then also thanks to you guys, it's board recognition month. Julie, don't we usually get like a certificate or something?
I don't see them yet.
Yeah, usually we get like a nice certificate for you guys. These guys are probably excited.
Well, we
for
are
that
gonna
first month.
Spot on the wall.
Yeah. Sorry, me too, me too. We'll get it in
You
June.
would have adjusted everything over.
But, you know, I know you guys do it for the fame and the money, so we appreciate it. No, we appreciate you guys, and, it's definitely a labor of love and service to the community, and so we're really thankful for all of you and all that you do. Giving up your free time to support our district. So thank you.
On to public forum. She said, everybody got her email. Yeah. With that red emails. The principal's reports.
Are you switching that? Well, when do you need to, we could either put Bill right away, or we could let you two go and then you could go into the game. It doesn't matter to me.
I'd be happy.
Rob, I mean, it's your last
I'd be
one.
happy to go first.
Yeah.
Bill has to earn his
I know.
stripes.
Yeah, go ahead, that's fine.
Okay. Well, and we said we don't know if Rob will talk for 5 seconds and be out the door, or he'll give us like a 3-hour.
Someone has to go first.
5 seconds and 3 hours.
And originally Haas wasn't gonna be here, so I linked his in there, so if you wanna, I mean, Haas, you can certainly
Yep, I'll read off, but they can read along if they want.
summarize or whatever.
So yeah, had a lot of big things going on over the last month. The elementary spring concert, Miss Bartholomew did an amazing job again. The theme this time around was about weather, so all the songs had some kind of tie to weather. But a great production. She did a great job. Kids did an awesome job as well. Our book blast fundraiser ended this last couple weeks. This year we had total contributions over 13,500. That's going to allow that every single student will go home with at least 2 new books, some kids up to 10 books for some summer reading. So over the last 2 years, that's almost $35,000 worth of books to kids in our elementary
What's
through that
the-
book blast fundraiser.
What's the main way of getting that out there? Is it a letter home or how's the?
Email typically is home, so then they sign up and then each parent is asked to put in 10 emails. And then when they have their 10 emails in, then kids get some reward back for putting in those 10 emails, a couple different gifts. Pretty easy process, a lot not on our end. A lot of our stuff is just reminders, sending out to staff to make sure that the students are signing up. A couple different reminders out to parents throughout that 2-week period. But really minimal things on our end. And obviously it's been really good and generous to our kids. So it's been a good thing over the last 2 years. So last year, somewhere close to 21,000, this year, 13,000. So either way you look at it, it's a lot of books for our kids. And it seems like it hits at a good time as we're gonna hand them out this week. So they'll have them for their summer reading. So it's been good. Also last week we had a Grammy nominated musician in our building. Saul Paul came and did a performance and a couple lessons. It was really cool. Our kids got up and danced and they sang and he had a great message and a lot of that goes around be the change and coming from his background. It was just a great event for our kids and they had a great message along with it. And so we'll do a couple other things over the last 2 weeks to kind of fulfill his message of be the change and but a great real world experience for our kids. So it was cool. We also had elementary field day last week on Friday. So kudos to Mr. Hermes and Mr. Stride for putting that all together and getting those high school helpers to come and do each station. Just an event that our kids truly look forward to. And it was a good blend of some competition and fun out there. And I spent a little bit of time in a dunk tank, which was also fun. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. It was something. Yeah, it was cold. It was freezing. Some other things, we have our FAST stuff that is completed. So our spring data is now in and it kind of correlates with some of the ISAS stuff that I'll share too. So in the FAST data, 81% of our kids are proficient school-wide in math. And our goal is always to be at 80. So we actually met that goal. And that was a really solid accomplishment for our kids. In reading, we were 73% proficient in the spring school-wide in general reading and 76% proficient school-wide in our fluency accuracy portion of that assessment, which then goes right into our ISAS initial data, getting some of that stuff back. In math, grades 3 through 5, we were 82% proficient, so very closely aligned with that FAST data, where 58% of the kids met the expected amount of growth based on that report. And then in reading, we were 71% proficient in grades 3 through 5, with 54% meeting that expected growth. So I guess when I look at it, we use that FAST screener 3 times a year to kind of gauge where we are. It is a pretty direct correlation as far as where we sit. So as we sit and talk fall and winter, and I talk about those FAST scores, really what that's hopefully going to do is give us an indicator of where we really sit when it comes to ISAS time. And what I'm looking at is showing that that's pretty correlated. So that's a good thing. And proud of our kids and the effort that they put. It's a big couple days as we go through that. So it's good to see where we're at. Obviously, still see that we need to do some things in the area of growth and making sure that all of our kids grow. So that'll be a continued emphasis on our growth area in the elementary, and something that we continue to talk about in our BLT, because our BLT continues to do our self-assessment of our MTSS, our SAMI assessment, and really that what it's doing is just looking at all the different areas that we can try to find what we need to do to improve. And so we sit and we assess ourselves on where we sit, what do we need to do, what are the quick wins that we can have, what are some things that are long-term that we need to fix and put into place to make sure that we're continually having that continual improvement model. So anyway, that's kind of the rundown. We have had a lot of fun events over the last month, still some field trips and stuff coming up. So it's just been a wild and crazy month over the elementary, but ultimately a lot of good there too.
That's fast.
Well, I guess I forgot, Allison also did share some poetry stuff that.
Yeah.
We do have some good poets in our building, so she wrote that, at the elementary, 20 poems of 142 entries across the state were chosen for the lyrical Iowa poetry anthology. And 4 of those poems of the 20 came from our kids. And at the middle school, there was 20 poems again of 366 entries, and 3 of those poems were our kids. So, lots of great things happening both elementary and middle school wide with the things that Allison's doing. So another thing, it's just good kudos and good things happening. Okay, now you can go.
I feel like we should turn the camera,
No,
like just this one last time.
I like this. Zach put out ISAS, so then I just sent out to you guys maybe an hour and a half ago. We've had the data. They send out on-demand reports, so some of that, I call it soft data. Zach probably with Bree feels a little bit better than my math skills and some of the people that are putting ours together, but it's really close. So I just wanted to celebrate as well. And expected growth, when you see that on there, is 22 points. We had so many kids grow, but maybe not quite hit 22, but that is the number to say that's what the state looks like. But you can look at those numbers and I feel really good where we're at. Math, obviously, the trend, which is great in Zach's, is you're starting to see math jump ahead of ELA. And we're definitely ELA ahead of math, but we have some things in place and I feel good with, pockets, but it was a really, I feel like we're gonna be in great shape when the performance profile comes. So we also have so much going on, but I don't know how many board meetings I've sat through. Maybe not, well, John's probably in the 200s. I'm probably 250 or so. It's a lot of board meetings. So normally I celebrate kids. I want to celebrate kids and you'll see why I'm going to come at it a little different tonight. So some people know, bear with me, not real long, but maybe a little longer than you want to be. Michael promised to be short after this. So my story seriously began being a Maxwell Rocket and coming over to Baxter and playing baseball out on that field way out there in this field here or in the gym here. Believe me, when I got done playing, I thought the last place I'd ever be was Baxter. I was ready to get out of Maxwell. I didn't feel like I was a small town guy. I just was ready to get out. So I went to college, played basketball for a while, tried out for a play, got the big role in the play. And at the end of that, the chair of the department said, "Do you want to get a scholarship?" I said, "Are you kidding me? I'm all in the scholarship." So I changed my major to theater. It was broadcast journalism. Then on the backside, after about a year, he said, "Better have something to fall back on." I think it was saying you're not a great actor, but have a fallback. He said education is typically, and I said, I have no desire to teach. He said, "Why don't you just do that so you always have something to fall back on?" So I did the education classes, did the student teaching, was not thrilled with the student teaching, didn't like it, and decided I was going to New York City. So I went out to New York to be that famous actor for about 2 or 3 years, quickly discovered I did okay, but it wasn't going to be a living for me. I came back and lived in Des Moines. I tried everything. I got a job at Yonkers. I got a job at the Des Moines Playhouse. I got a job at the radio, anything. And nothing, I just wasn't clicking. And after Christmas, I remember this and my mom and dad saying, "We're done giving you money." And so I said, "I'll just go sub. I'll just sub. I don't want to sub." And first day subbing, I was in there and a gentleman came through from the Des Moines, downtown Des Moines, and said, "Hey, how do you feel about a long-term sub job?" I'd worked one day and he said, "Probably because back then they couldn't find anybody." I said, "Sure, a long-term sub," which turned into that principal saying, "Hey, I'm moving buildings. Will you go be a theater teacher for me?" I still was like, yeah, not knowing what I want to do. Football, basketball, the whole thing. It just started steamrolling. Then I got really more of a passion about coaching. And up until then I didn't. Took a couple jobs and got a head job at Woodward Grange. I remember this. I've been there 2 years and Neil Seals and Rick Sullivan met with me and said, "We got a football job open 1997, the spring probably of 97. Would you come interview for it?" It's like, heck yeah, I will. I mean, next stepping stone, interview for it, was blessed to get it. And I didn't ask what the rest of the job was. So then Rick said, "Hey, it's at Maxwell. What about being, I think we're going to try to do a dean of students." I didn't even know what that was, which was really assistant principal. I have no desire to do that, but if it gets me the football job, I'll take it. Took it. 1 year in, loved the guys I was coaching. I loved the CMB thing. And then the job opened here and Neil came over to Max. I remember coming in, spent some time with me. They said, no promises, but we'd like you to apply for this job over at Baxter. Be a principal. Never taken a class, never done anything. So I said, sure. At that point, interviewed, have no idea. I was probably horrible, but somehow blessed that they offered me this position at Baxter in 1998. I was horrible. I mean, I was horrible as a principal to start. I mean, I know how bad now as you reflect back. Blessed with Donna Akins and Lisa Cross and Diane Halter, and I can go on and on, who somehow decided to keep trying to coach me and teach me. So that turned into 27 years later. I've been blessed with great superintendents. Neil, we're tired of the Neil stories, but I'm old enough that Neil was my mentor. He was the guy that really took me under my wing, really was a father figure. I mean, way even outside education, but Neil believed in me when nobody else was believing in me and was straight and said, here's what you got to fix and here's what you got to do. And that's how you get better. Matt made me an education leader. So Matt Patton came in. Neil was kind of the managerial style. So of course I was a football coach and was the managerial style, not very good. And then Matt said, hey, we got to get you in classrooms and be a better education leader. And he was great for that. Todd Martin came in and he really was one that said, Rob, this is your building. Start making some decisions here. We're all Baxter. You are the 7-12 principal. So I appreciate that. Michael has been unbelievable about work-life balance. If I need to go stay with my dad on open heart surgery, never a question. If my kid's not in school here, volleyball game, go. Whatever it was, she was great about understanding that's the number one and this is 1A. So board members, Michael made the joke, the money and the fame. I mean, the bullets fly and you have to go home some nights and go, why am I doing this? I was interviewed this week for the paper. I probably would lose my job when that comes out, but I was already done. So some of my opinions on the state of education, but I did say our board's been phenomenal. I mean, from Kurt, who also would sit and tell you directly what needed to be fixed, to the longevity with John and Colette and John Robinson and Bruce and Colette. I mean, it just everybody. Nobody's in this job for 27 years. The only way you can stay in this job in one building is the 5 here and the 4 superintendents I've been able to work with. So blessed. I would say the parents community are over supportive to a fault. Sometimes they should push more. Sometimes they should question more. It's probably coming in our society now, but it was just Baxter. We trust what's going on up here. And I thank them for bringing me along. She asked me what I was proud of in this building. And first of all, it's our kids. But then she goes, tell me the things that happened. And it was amazing when I started writing some of those down. This isn't because of me, but it's because of all of us. In no certain order, our dual credit, and that with our students leaving here with college credit and career academy and DMAC, that's put us back with other people that were doing it. I remember our open enrollment numbers. I remember Neil, that was the big thing. If our open enrollment numbers drop, we're done. And for 27 years, our OE numbers are at the top of the state. People come here for a reason. They don't come here for one reason. They come here for what we all do, and they're still coming. So that's phenomenal. I went through a lot of building projects. You look now, I was embarrassed when we were trying to hire teachers to the 2nd and 3rd floor. I just purposely not walk them up through there. And now the first place, I had a postgrad Brad come back and went right to the science labs and FCS. Our building is, I remember the sports complex in 97 with the track, thinking that was state of the art. It's still really nice. And we went through gyms and, all of that. So, and that's a lot on you guys too. Then love some of the things we have in place. Maybe Clay will change them. I hope not. There's some that I think are great. Our seniors last walk here is phenomenal. Just for that opportunity. I love our senior exit interviews just to feel what those seniors are thinking. And that's just a great thing that we do. Back all the way to the middle school concept to get our middle school kids away from our high school kids and give them an identity, our SRG. I love our new programs, whether it's speech. We didn't have speech even 8-9 years ago. We didn't have competitive speech. Now you go in there and see the banners, academic decathlon. I just watched, so everybody, because now you think, how many years ago was the Baxter Bolts? It's 7 years ago we did that. And I just watched the video 4 or 5 days ago, and it just still, when you see going back to the bolts and the lightning bolts, and then you know, whether it was Coach Campbell or Murph and Andy, and I even forgot till I watched it. My son had a acapella group that sang, Courtney, there was people that I didn't even remember that were on that video, if you haven't seen in a while. I just think the Baxter identity is now the Bolts, and believe me, I was a CMB guy, and I may have not been there even privately in my mind, but you tell me how many schools have a town with one name that has a K-12 building that still doesn't. They're not out there. I mean, that, you could just end the conversation, Baxter, Bolts, everyone else is hyphenated or consolidated or shared. We're not, and we're still moving in the right direction. Performance profiles and our conditions of learning with US News World Report, that's because we have great kids and great teachers. Some of the people that I've walked through this building are crazy, and I started with Tim DeWhite. We played football out on the playground with the little kids. Chipper Gore was through here. Tom Vilsack was through here, Coach Ferentz, Coach Finley, I mean, we've had a lot of people come through. I've been blessed to be able to brag about Baxter. Fine arts, just for me, passionately, I go all the way back to being a theater major, doing that first musical with Grease. I did Guys and Dolls with Hass up there singing, sang with my own son on that stage. My wife and I did love letters on that stage. I mean, Hamilton playing trumpet in the band, all those things that if you go anywhere else, you don't get to do those things. If you're the principal, plug a school in, because I know we're on that, you don't get to do those things. That's why I tell our kids, you get to do all of this because of who we are. And I got that too. From what you forget, one-to-one computers, a student staff softball, grad, all prom speeches. There are just so many of those things. Even just the other night, we won the conference junior high track championship because we have great athletes. But that was awesome. And they all said, can we sing the fight song on our lap? And I was like, do you know the fight song? And it was, yes, that's something on the football side, which I haven't even used that word about Baxter, but that we teach our kids. We think it's important. Our junior high kids knew the fight song. They sang the fight song on their way around the lap without, I mean, that's impressive to me. Don't ever forget sitting here. We have 3 phenomenal new board members and 2 veterans. The most important thing a principal does is hire good teachers. Don't ever, ever, ever forget that. I know sometimes they go, giving them too much money, or you're giving them a bonus, or why are we getting, whatever it does, I can tell you, because when the Luthers leave, one's leaving a little later, she will be missed way more than I'm missed, because the impact in the classroom is so much more than the impact that we have here. Just a quick, but leadership is about building others up. It takes no skill, talent, expertise to beat people down, but building people up with empathy, patience, understanding, genuine care, encouragement. That's how you be a leader. And all you gotta do is care. And so many people come out on the backside. Finishing up the relationships, our kids are gonna say relationships. That's not different from Michael to Zach, or even the people around the sport. The board retreats, I don't remember, John, were you part of when we went off site and built? I mean, just some of the relationships that are built. I just go back to something, not just work family. Maybe you work in a place. I mean, we spend more of my adult life has been spent in this building or at Baxter, and the friendships, the weddings, the funerals, just those memories with great friends and just people who are work family that they've been long gone. And I'm proud of, I mean, I think I counted 11 or 12 people that have been principals, superintendents, instructional coaches that have worked with me or for me. Last thing, you leave the place better than you found it. That's just something Hass and I say all the time to our kids, and we really mean about picking up the restaurant or picking up the sideline. But it's also just about who you are and what you've left. So, leave it better than you found it. I came here hoping to probably 3 years and go get the next football job and next football job, and something happened and you just realize it's a great place. And want to be a mentor, teacher, friend to kids and make a difference with kids. And then you wake up one day and you realize they're the ones that change you. And now that's a good place to be. I say thanks everybody at the table. It's been a great run. I'm not gonna be a stranger, but I am glad that we are done with 274 links. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
You talk about the impact people have had on you. I guarantee we've had a lot of impact on other people. Just my kids included. Board members, we sit around, might run into something. Oh, Rob, I always like listening to his reports. So it's always you're a big leader here in this building, community, Baxter as a whole. I guess I didn't even realize, it's like, yeah, but tonight is his last meeting, isn't it? But, so yeah, I think, like I say, what you've given this community is well felt too. Personally, as a community too. So yeah, it's been a good run, so.
2 ways. 2 ways.
You were late, you're too late though.
I know.
I got to experience and learning how to. And I would say, yes, you've done amazing things and grown a lot and you've stuck with it and that we're very grateful.
That first year was I think you said you started in fall of 98.
Oh,
I student taught here, spring of 99. So your first year here, so it's like full circle there, Mr. Luther. And yeah, like I know that you talk about the impact you have on kids. I mean, my own 3 kids, like especially my 2 sons, like I sometimes think they would prefer you as their dad than try to ride. But yeah, you've really made it. And I know it's not just my kids.
No, and the football thing is one thing, but Baxter gives you a chance to the at-risk kids and the music kids and you can't, that's, if I'm gonna be a friend, I would never go to big school to do that. You become the office guy. That wasn't ever who I was. So 2 ways.
Well, we should like quiet morning. But yeah, I'm sure graduation will be a big day too.
Yeah, that's for them, but yeah, the big day will be the 31st up at the bar.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Which everyone from
Everyone's
5 to 10 on the 31st, so stop in, have some cake and a Diet Coke.
It's our anniversary too. So Jennifer and I.
Oh, I thought you talked to John.
So we'll celebrate with you.
Okay, that's a deal.
Captain and champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent out, have a captain. Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you, Rob.
Yes,
and that's
thanks,
all.
guys, appreciate it. And I may be around.
Yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, you two can take off and go to the baseball game now.
Sorry, Bill, we jumped in front of you.
That's fine.
Well, now we gotta hear that. And now it's recorded forever. That'd be a fun one to play back.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, see ya.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right, next up, okay, you go ahead. Taking over this meeting.
Well, we're good.
Oh,
We'll move on to Bill.
yeah.
Bill for the building and ground.
Okay, so, with the safety and security, that's the other thing. Let's go down to the, summer projects. And then Bill also just said he wanted to share a couple things, just, do you want to just click on the summer projects list and then we can kind of talk about them? Bill, do you have? Here,
What we have for the,
I don't know if you and Julie came up with this. What you got?
sidewalks. Okay,
Here, you can, I'll keep that here and then I can look on with Corey for you.
the sidewalks out here in front, a lot of them has rose up a little bit for tripping hazard. Or they settle down to a tripping hazard. I got a guy coming to put the stuff that raises them up instead of busting it up, but new in. I think they're gonna be here next week. And then the sports complex, like in front of all the metal that goes around there, like all of our 2x4s and structure in there that holds that in, is basically rotted away. So we need to do something with that. And our bleachers in the east gym. I got the gentleman coming Wednesday, I believe. To give us a price or idea what we can do with them.
Mr. Bond has info on that too. Mr. Bond maybe was working on something with that.
We worked on it together.
Okay.
From some of our interior or exterior doors around the school that are rusting away at the bottom, like the casing that we need to address something with. It seemed I got people coming and giving us a price on that. And I have some like custodial equipment. And our snow plow on our truck is getting pretty bad. We either look at either having that rebuilt or getting something different. Let's see. what happened here. Black.
What all do we move with our snowplow? I just don't know. Is it just up
The-
here?
Yeah,
or-
the parking lot and this road out here, because we just basically windrow everything over that side of the street. And then the same thing on the back side. Then I added a couple of. There's I don't know if that's on there, is it room in for carpet for rooms?
Yeah, so there's some.
Yeah,
Project
a
six.
couple of rooms that are neat carpet. And we do have a new ice machine. It will be going tomorrow. I gotta make a couple batches of ice and we'll just throw that out. That'll be a good thing. Yeah, but.
The sign, that's gonna get moved, that's started.
It's fine, he has the footings out here, that'll get moved. Like he told me sometime this week, so. And the marquees ordered. I'm hoping it's gonna get here before. The graduation.
But we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
It's a matter
Yeah.
of shipping, but we can't control that. It's good. How are we doing on the insurance stuff, like the doors and well, there were some questions you've asked me before, John. Garage door.
Yeah, I just wondered on a lot of those garage doors we were getting replaced from hail damages.
Yeah.
I mean, are those in process? Or
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of lead time on a lot of that stuff, but
And then there's,
is that gonna be this summer then, when that they'll get
yeah,
replaced?
I'm thinking them might be here sometime this week.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a sign out at the football field. That we was gonna do that last year, we never got, that, but they need to have graphics and put on it and paint's coming off and. I got a guy coming back and give us a quote on that,
That's the main scoreboard.
yes. Then there's the Peter Meyer Field. I was told that scoreboard was taken out of that and used for the softball field. So. I'd like to get somebody come and take a look at it, make sure, because it don't work. The one out at Peter Meyer Field, it doesn't
Like the
work.
little T-ball field.
Yes,
Does anyone actually use that T-ball field? I don't think anybody uses it.
well, I understand there's gonna be games going on
Oh, really?
out there. That's what your dad was telling me.
There's been some discussion of that.
Yes.
Okay.
From like school,
Right. Guess the Peter Myers came to the rec and asked if they'd want to use it for an extra practice field, since the fields out there are kind of. And I think that's about as far as it's gone right now, it's just discussion. Nobody's been out there or anything that I'm aware of.
When I came in, I mean, there's kids out practicing
Oh,
tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if they're tied in with the softball team. I don't know what their softball.
Yeah, the
Softball girls use it every.
Yeah, so, yeah, so
Practice it.
like the high school or middle school or whoever uses it, I think, but.
That's great, because I think they, for a long time, hadn't really been using it.
No.
So that's,
Go with the log jam out there, kind of like our gymnasium, there was discussion of holding a practice or two out there.
we just need to get everything together.
what's Baxter, right?
Yeah.
Don't we?
Facility usage agreement.
Does that get moved under with the gyms?
It's not like one big Baxter, right?
It is a big one, but nobody's bothered to get one.
We know a guy.
So most of these are still pending quotes. So does that mean like we'll come back at next meeting with quotes and then decide what gets priority?
Yeah, normally we would this month, but because we don't have the bids, we can't approve anything.
How extensive is this sports complex, so bleacher deal, is that, I mean, gonna be a big project or? what do you-
Well, he told me on the phone, there's some of that you can replace underneath. But that's a lot of our stuff is rotted out and you can see, or is deteriorated away because when you're sliding in and out, if you got track that's rubbing, then it's rubbed the handles and stuff, so when you push some of these bleachers in, they won't go in and they get all crooked in there, then you gotta pull them all back out, it's a,
Yeah, I've talked
You
to
gotta
the
go to that sport
rec
complex.
complex, so
Okay.
that,
yeah, a lot of that's not treated, I mean, it was just regular wood.
should be treated when we redo it, that's one.
But I noticed that when we put the cable in there for the timing for the track, yeah. That metal in front just kind of just crumbled, and I found a couple of tube boards in there, and put it back together.
Knowing that our next meeting isn't for like a full month. Like, are there other things that will happen? Cause some are so short and the project list will be pretty long.
Yeah, anything that's gonna need to be approved won't be able to be started until they're approved.
I just would hate for us to run out of time and have some of these critical projects not done.
I anticipate that, you're probably gonna have to have a special board meeting anyway. Because of, salary. Negotiations and things like that. Because we haven't, done classifieds or anything like that. And if we wait a whole month, we actually have time frames that are hooked to those contracts. And we're nearing the end of the fiscal year that we should have taken care of before. So I would imagine you're probably gonna have a special meeting. So you could put that all together.
And it doesn't even have to be an in-person, we can either do like a Zoom meeting, or we can do I've sometimes have done a email meeting. And then you just make it public.
It's given what the items are gonna be, you're probably gonna wanna do it on at least Zoom or in person.
I have no problem doing it actually, speaking for myself.
But
I said I have no problem doing an actual meeting, speaking for myself.
Rather be in person.
Yeah.
I'm not very,
it's hard to talk about salaries and things like that when you're on a conference call, or if it's just an approval or something like that, that's,
when your computer freezes.
yeah.
You know, I think like snowplow, I mean, that's obviously not an immediate need,
No.
but something to.
The sports complex though, is that what needs fixed there? Does that put us in, I mean, is that a serious safety issue, whatever we got going on there?
Well, yeah, it can be.
I just asked that, football's right around the corner.
Yes. Some
Yeah.
of these things are like, they need to be done before school starts. So that's why I just want to make sure that we can approve.
Yeah,
Things get
yeah,
moving.
in theory, any summer projects are all finished before school starts.
Yeah.
Right.
So when school gets out next week, like you have stuff that's like right on your agenda, like you got going on this first. Is it anything on this list that has to get, approved? Like we have to figure out a way to get it approved before?
No, I got that.
Okay. Okay, so you've got plenty to keep you busy.
Oh, yeah.
You tell, like we can get to this stuff. Well, as soon as you get the quotes, let us know, and then we can get you looped in with
Okay.
one of those special meetings.
Sounds like bleachers, I know the boosters have talked about. Maybe chipping in something, maybe possibly, I mean, depending on what they decide, but. If there is that option too, as far as maybe being able to ask them for. Split it or pay for, I don't know what they're thinking, but.
Who wants here?
Yeah, no, you-
I know, Tyler, you said you helped install those originally, but is that something where we typically do the labor? Because I assume it'll be like a free place, not that.
I don't even know why I was involved with that, to be honest with you.
No, that just scares me to death.
Now we know.
A liability, or not that I was worried, you're not.
See all those bleachers left when I walked out the door.
Bill, do you know though, like with those bleachers, is that something that, are they like complex enough now that the companies have to install them, or is that something you and your team? I really have no idea, like.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, it might void.
Yeah,
It's warranty work if you don't have.
Shark will be coming back, okay?
Have they indicated any kind of timelines, like if, once we have it, like backlog of a whole bunch of other people that are looking to do it during the summer?
I
Or
think they got a pretty good sized crew that,
it wouldn't be a big turnaround time.
And before we, like, it's kind of good that you're both here. I know it's not the library conversation yet. But since Bill's here, do you want to talk a little bit about like when you tried to get the quotes and like what the story is with if we were gonna install the door or the bathroom or whatever, like just kind of where we're at with all that? For the library, like remember we talked about getting the side door?
I don't remember all those lots about that, okay? Yeah, for the, cutting the door out of there and that,
We could only ever get one guy to give it a quote.
yeah. I couldn't get nobody else to do it. A lot of them said they'd come over, and I don't know what they thought. And they found out that it's really not a big job, so they're not gonna come over and waste their time with it. That's why we only had one bid on it, basically.
What was it, around 50,000?
50, yeah, 56 or something like that, I think.
Years ago, or last year anyway.
That's for just cutting the door and installing a door, or is that the door in the bathroom?
No, that's the cutting the door. Come in,
Mhm.
in the bathroom,
Okay,
basically we gotta have a stall bathroom in there.
right. So it's not just the door, okay.
Right,
Right, it's all under the one, okay. Oh, that was an expensive door for that.
So does there have to be a bathroom in there?
Do you know, Marie, does there have to be a bathroom?
I
Like,
guess if bathroom available. All right, yeah, for accreditation, you have to have a place for them to go.
These are two. Well, let's see, we're using a men and a women's.
it was
Is that-
one.
is
It's
that-
one.
Just one.
Just like what I was
Right.
thinking. Yeah.
So Marie, on the restrooms, they have to be obviously provided by, for employees and that, but do they have to be provided for the public? To be accredited?
Yes. You have to have.
Because there are some establishments that don't, because you're not in that space for a long enough period of time, like some retail establishments, for employees for sure, or with anyone with medical conditions.
I just know when I fill out my state report, I had to have pictures of the same
Okay.
picture, they were handicapped accessible and
Okay,
stuff.
okay,
I had to fill all that out before.
okay.
I don't have to do it every year, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of being accessible.
Any other building project, summer project questions for Bill? And you might stick around, Bill, if you want, just while we talk about the library. In case there's any questions.
Keep this room and pass it back to her.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I guess we get some bids in next couple weeks here before our next meeting. We need to do something. Probably should.
Maybe it's definitely the complex and these bleachers seem like a big priority to have done, or at least approved. To be slated out.
That's the football bleachers?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a stand.
Yeah, okay. So we could potentially put caution tape around it until it's fixed, if it's not stable, because I don't want a liability issue.
The bleachers are all right, it's the tin that's worked around it.
Okay, so if somebody were to sit down, nothing's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
happen.
that wouldn't interfere with that. at all.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I was gonna say, they just build for track.
Yeah.
I hope they're okay.
Nicholas track is relevant. Any other questions for Bill while we've got him?
They're not really questions, but then there's a painting schedule on here too. I assume that, is that considered summer stuff?
Yep,
Stuff,
yep, that
like,
all
that all
happens.
just gets happened.
That all happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you look at the, that capital asset, so you're looking at your projects, but if you look up above,
yeah,
you'll see that we set away certain amounts
Yeah.
of money for those kinds of things.
okay.
Okay.
Yep. Well, good.
If I remember right, when we did our walkthrough, there was some stuff that was on the schedule last year that they didn't have time to get to, that they're gonna start with those this year. Is that correct? Okay.
If we're making decisions on some of the wallpaper or paint that was, it's like really easy to mark up.
In the middle school, high school commons.
I think the only way the guy's gonna fix that is feel like the wainscoting up so high. I don't know any other way to fix it. We tried to blend it in with like crayon and that, but that only lasts for a little bit until somebody rubs against it, then it's gone again. So,
That was just an unfortunate choice. Like, I just didn't think, like we just went with what the architects suggested or the designers, and, it's great. Not thinking that like it was gonna get so scratched up so easily. So that one was
Well, we do have some construction week left, so.
oh. We need to buy
Yeah.
some.
Great place to use that. There's no question about it.
Maybe you can get a quote for something to cut to help cover that, like you said, the wainscoting or whatever.
I'm gonna add that to your summer projects list.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything else that we need to think about for the summer? Or you've, there's
First of all, the library board and myself, we really don't support waiting until 3:30 to open. That'll put us down to 10 to 12 hours a week of being open, which currently we're open 26 hours a week. We open 3 days at noon and 1 day at 10. And then, to be accredited with the state, we have to be open 20 to 24 hours a week to be accredited. We also have to have morning, evening, afternoon, and weekend hours. I mean, we have to show that we are open so that we can reach all people. So, and I mean, we could possibly open or when we're not, work when we're not here, but open, but we don't feel like that is a really good use of the city's resources to actually have people working and not be open. And we just hired, I know I'm retiring also, and anyway, we just hired Chantel Maxwell. I think I'm really excited. She has great ideas for the library and everything, but she will not be accepting this position if she can't work when her kids are in school. I mean, that's not what she signed up for. And I think it'd be really hard to find someone who can run our programs and keep the library going, offering them that few hours. So, during the week, we probably just have about 15 people come in per week is what I'm kind of averaging. That's our story time people and our retirees. And we've tried doing story times on the weekends before and it just hasn't worked. So the Tuesday morning has worked well for us the last couple of years. And then I'd also like to point out that Greg, I love Greg, he's wonderful, but Greg is not in the library. I mean, he's a tech person, you've got him STEM teaching, his desk is in the library. So you don't have a librarian there. My staff, we check out the books to the kids, we put the books away, you guys, Bill changes the lights, he fixed the clock for me, and you guys vacuum. And the rest of the library is taken care of by the city staff. We clean the tables. We pick up the messes we walk into, right, Julie? And I really hate to come in there at 3:30 and see what's happened during the day. I don't know, the kids, they're great, but there are kids in every class that, I mean, just are very disrespectful to the property. I also ran a report just for fun to see the school actually owns 20% of the books in there. The city owns the other 80%. So that's quite a difference. I mean, I know we own a lot of adult books, but we own a lot of the school kids' books too. Our budget's just a lot more flexible and we have a lot more money to spend on books. And so when those kids are in there and they like a series, well, we get right on the line and get the rest of that series ordered. If they request, they know they can ask me, oh, Marie, I see this, and we put it right on our order. So I think we're very responsive to the kids' desires. Now, I will admit, Kristen Lutheran has quite a library in her room, and so we're not hitting those middle schoolers as much as we used to, because I don't know what she's doing with her library, but you guys better be trying to get that, her to leave that. She surely doesn't want to take it with her. But our library board is proposing that possibly, I know you guys have tried to make that as the main entrance, the north side. And we're proposing putting a sign up on this door, library entrance only, and possibly hooking our computer up to buzz our library patrons in. And then when the library's not open, no one would have access through that door because there would be no one there to buzz them in. And I know on Tuesday mornings, for some reason, Amanda and Angie seem to be busy. You've had to help a lot with our preschool kids getting in here. And so that would be our suggestion, is that we have access to let them in and out only and nobody else. And so if the library's closed, the sign would say you have to go to the other doors. And so that's kind of our suggestion, maybe, to solve this problem. I mean, there's just no way to make the school completely safe. I mean, there just isn't. I know those doors down at the lunchroom are open for 10 minutes every class period change. So personally, I don't think the library is as big a threat as that. So, but that would be our suggestion to solve the problem. I mean, the door would be great. It's not essential to me. I have talked to some other libraries, and during library hours or city library hours, their doors have to be buzzed. You have to buzz them in and out, but they can't access the library freely because there's only about 8 or 10 of us in the state that are combined. But the one said, yeah, during the library hours, her doors to the school are locked and you have to buzz the kids in and out. That's another, I know you put the door in, you still don't have secured. I mean, I think the door would be really great during the summer and during holidays if we're open, weekends. It'd be great to have that, because I can't watch. I've had kids, not lately, but I've had kids crawl through here to get into school when the school's closed. To get into the building, I've caught them, but you don't always catch them. I can't see them very well. So, I mean, the door would be, to me, more of an asset when the school isn't open, actually.
And there is one of those buzzers that Angie and Amanda have. It's still in my office room, and Julie and Deb were in there. And so it just sits. So I asked Greg once, is it just a matter of like unplugging it and moving it? And it's not, but
He
it's
said it
still.
would cost money,
It would, but it might be a whole lot less.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like it could be done, I think. It could really, right now, it's just sitting there.
Well, Greg's
Not
on
being
my
used.
board, and
Oh,
so
so
he was
he-
there when we talked about
Yeah.
it, but he's been so busy and stressed with golf and all
Uh-huh.
these cameras, and I didn't nail him down to see how much he thought it would cost
But
to
we
hook
could,
it up.
we could get a quote for just how much that would be, because I don't mind. It's kind of fun on Tuesday mornings to hop up, and I let the little ones and their moms in, or their grandmas or whatever. But if it just rangs right to you guys, then you could buzz them in and, or like say.
And the sign could say, if no one's in the library, no one else has the ability to open it. I mean, that might help you guys transition better too. I don't think too many come in the store, but.
Yeah, and next year, like, I'm usually in that place, but next year, only 2 days a week. somebody will be in that office. There's gonna be 3 days a week that no one will be in there because Chris won't be in the district.
Yeah, I think moving that buzzer is the best.
Well, because then we could see who's there.
Yeah, and I
You
don't-
know, if they're a library patron.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, is, I mean, I don't know how I feel about any of the options, but just curious if you get buzzed in and you walk them into the library. Are you then like doing someone to check out of inventory of where the people are that have come in?
During
Because that's really, once they get in the building, that's the point.
during the school day, those preschool story time people, some of them then walk on down to pick up preschoolers. So they are walking through the building because they stay and play in the library until preschool's out, and then they walk on down and pick up their preschooler.
Yeah.
And so that would be, yeah, that would be one of the people who would actually go in. The other people beside the preschoolers are, I've only ever had retirees in, who don't, a lot of them like to be out and get everything done early. They don't want to be out in the evening. And so those retirees would have, I've never seen one of them actually walk through the building. Have you?
Not really, maybe use the restroom or something,
Yeah.
but other than
Yeah,
that,
and that's right,
it's
just right there.
yeah, I mean, we really honestly have more trouble with like strangers wandering through, and it's usually on accident. It's somebody who's trying to come to either my office or Rob's office or Zach's office, and it happens to be passing time, or a kid will let them in they'll come down by the commons, thinking that's where they're supposed to come in, and then they'll kind of wander through the hall till like some grown-up says, hey, can I help you with something? They're like, I'm just looking for the office, but it's typically they just get in down there, and those doors are locked, except for, like you said, every period, when the bell rings, that has to get unlocked so the kids can get back in the building. And so, and our kids have been told a million times, don't let strangers in, but they're still polite kids, and if they see somebody standing at the door, they let them in, and they're, say like, oh, I'm looking for the high school office, and kids are like, oh, they, show them where to go, or point in the direction. So we can lock down the best we can, but until that shop isn't across the street, we're never gonna be secure in here until we have all our kids in the building during the day, because we open the building every 42 minutes.
Yeah, so that was our suggestion. We really, and one of the things, working here this many years, one of my favorite parts of my job is checking out the elementary kids. I absolutely love having them in, and they, oh, where's a book about this, and I find them, one of the highlights of my day is the elementary kids. And I really would hate to, I don't know, you'd probably have to have a parent in there to check out books, there wouldn't be the consistency. It wouldn't be, I could tell them right where this or that is, when they ask for it and stuff. It's bad enough they don't have library to learn where things are, but at least, they'll ask me, well, where are the truck books? Where are this, and I can direct them. I really think it's nice to have a real librarian there to help the kids find what they're looking for too. And like I said, find out what they're reading so we know what to buy.
Marie, is there any rule, and I don't know, this is why, one of the great reasons that you came, because I didn't know about the 20 hours or, some of those details that were like, we just don't know, but
Yeah.
Marie would know these things. The secretaries have the ID badge scanners. People could bring in their license, and then they could scan it, and then they print them a visitor badge. Is there any rule against saying like if I know like Mrs. Akins comes in, could we scan Mrs. Akins and give her a pass, and we just know that she's an approved visitor and she can just keep it in her purse? Or is there anything like that, like that library people have
A lot of places have
anonymity or?
library cards.
Uh-huh.
We've never done that because none of the kids have them.
Mhm.
And so we've just never done library cards. There should be a way to do that.
Yeah, I
we've
just
got
didn't know that-
laminators.
Well, are you thinking of it more of an access thing?
Well,
than
and I
like
was
a-
just thinking more of like, if you happen to get somebody who looks a little sketchy or seems a little sketchy, you scan their ID badge. Cause like right now, if somebody came to the high school office, Angie could scan their badge, and if they come up on the sex offender list or something, it's like warning, don't let this person in. There's like a big red thing. Whereas like the rest of them, it just is like, oh, visitor, and it'll just print a sticker with their
Is
name.
that their driver's license?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, But I don't know if there's any rules with libraries that say like, no, library, like you don't have to be able to show ID to use a public library or anything like that. I just don't know.
Have you ever
never-
in school, like some of the rules that might apply for a public library?
Mhm.
I
Especially
know we just adopted your sex offender policy. We didn't write our own. We just adopted yours, which is a little different than most public libraries.
So you can make the rules tighter if you want to, like compared to like if it's just a library that was just a freestanding library in another town. Since you're inside a school, like give a little leeway to,
We just do.
oh, you just. Yeah, until we get called on it, we just.
The state hates our library being in a school because of the restrictions. And I know some of, and this has nothing, we've talked about this, the books that they talk about, you know. Our library doesn't have those books anyway, because Greg and I are fairly conservative in our books offerings. I mean, we have love stories with gay kids in them, but we don't have pictures. Which is what they're talking about. They're talking about illustrated sex. And we don't have to worry about that because we just don't have it. And so I know there are a couple of libraries, well, the one Alta, they're splitting up now because they've actually put a wall down the middle of their library. City, school. And they're just waiting for the city to move out to find a place to go, and it's all over this book censoring. And it's like, you know. And we had decided that they would have to get a city library number if we had anything that was controversial, but, and not check out during school days. I mean, we just worked it out. We just talked about it and it was fine. But,
Well, I mean, if that
Yeah.
was something we were concerned about, because there was three, because doesn't Amanda have one and Ange has one, and then we had one too that you could scan. I think well, I don't use it, I just let the moms go in, or, you know, like the Donnas of the world, I let them in. But if we wanted to start that policy or something, we have the equipment, so maybe if Greg was moving the camera anyway, he could also move the.
maybe we could
Badge
print some
scanner.
kind of pass that you have to show it. I mean, they could even put it on their phone and show it, because
Yeah,
does the scanner? Can you
it
see
prints
that?
a sticker, yeah, and it prints like a picture of their face. Like there's a camera and you like stand, like there's a laptop, and then you would scan your license, and then your camera, the computer takes a picture of you, and then there's like a little mini printer, and it just spits out a little sticker that says visitor, or it says, you know, vendor, or whatever you're here for.
But maybe we could get something like that printed and with library patron on it.
Yeah, we probably,
You would
I think
have
we
to have
can
a library card to get that.
Yeah, and I bet Greg could help with that, because he's the one who helps set the whole system up. When I was at Nevada, we had to scan every single visitor. And so, once a month, the parents that came for preschool pickup, we would, rescan their license, but we were like, it's the same moms, 3 days a week or 4 days a week. So like, for the month of September, we print them all on, you know, purple, and that was just, they just stuck it on like one of those things you get like when you're at a conference or something. We just stuck it in there, and then, you know, October was maybe orange, whatever. And so we just knew that every month we could just glance up and let them through, because we saw they had their badge. If it was a grandma or something that happened to picking up that day, then we would just scan their license quick and print them a new sticker, and they were on their
And
way.
you could just print it on our colored paper and laminate it and call it
We
good.
could.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's
something that
so
they-
easy.
And then they
Yeah.
could even take a picture on their phone.
If
show
they just
how
have it,
And
yeah.
if they're a first time user or whatever, just tell them they have to check in with either Angie or Amanda, and they can go
The
through the
first time.
process, yeah, first time,
For sure. So they come in and get approved, yeah.
yeah.
I think that is fine. I mean, the state probably would cringe a little. But we have to make our own. There's nothing in the accreditation that says we have to be available to everyone, and we are, because we're available after school. And so I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, as long as our regulars can get in. I don't think there would be too much problem. And we could get those people scanned at their next visit. I mean, we wouldn't have to make them go around, and we could get that done gradually. Well, we could have it all going by school next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
for
have the
sure.
summer to kind of work out the
Yeah,
kinks.
so we don't have enough time to
2
do
weeks,
this
yeah.
now.
No, no.
Yeah.
But if we could have that all, everybody.
You could
set up.
actually, I
We could
mean,
have all of our public patrons have that.
yes, and they wouldn't even necessarily have to be here for it to be done. If you have a list of those recurring patrons, you know, we could get the cards all taken care of, and then the first time they come in, issue those
Hand
cards
them
to
out.
them.
Yeah. That would.
You just have to make it as least cumbersome to them, in order
Yeah,
for
and
them
if-
to use it.
And if we
Yeah.
could say you can have it on your, even
On
a
your
picture
phone.
on your phone.
Even if they
is
took a
fine.
picture of it.
Yeah, if they have it, oh, that's what I do with a lot of things, you know, you've got the
Yeah.
document, but you just scan it into your phone.
And then anyone who's not recurring, or we don't know who they are, or whatever, they'll have to go through that normal process.
I can accept that.
Yeah.
I really can, I think that would be a good way to do it.
And that's something that could be done over the summer, you know, when it's a little less hectic.
We can educate everyone
Yeah.
as to what they're gonna have to do.
Yeah, and I
And then when
think,
the back to school newsletter comes out, does the library put something in the
I
back?
usually do.
Yeah, so we could just say like, hey, here's the new procedures or whatever.
yeah.
I mean, is the
I think
board,
the
are
signs
you,
on the door will be good, you know, saying unless you're visiting the city library, please enter the north doors or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think, cause I think that would be acceptable.
Yeah.
Buzzer on the door for the library to buzz them in. As long as you have your
Card.
purple card or whatever. If not,
Go around to get
that's
access.
front now, right?
Yeah, because I mean, we have the camera, they can flash their card
Right.
before we.
And it wouldn't even have to be a librarian that would buzz them in if they have the card and say you're not available, Angie or Amanda. They
Yeah, if-
put the
Cause it
thing
still
up.
buzz into them.
They-
Yeah.
Yeah, it rolls
to all
over.
the hours.
Okay.
So sometimes like if I'm not there, it'll ring to Angie or Amanda and they can let the kids in or the
They
whatever.
would just have to hold up their card and they could see it through the camera and buzz them in.
That sounds like a solution to me.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't tell someone they couldn't come in the library. Maybe you couldn't come in that minute, but you can get set up to come.
Yes.
And that's all they need is to set it up so they can get access.
Yeah.
Post the instructions. I like that it's showing that we're making an attempt and it's more secure than what we have. I don't think it's too cumbersome.
I don't think it will be once it's going.
Yeah.
I won't be here.
I mean, there's a
I don't think it'll work.
little bit of setup involved, but we're not talking hundreds of people either.
And we're not constantly, it'll cost to switch the buzzer to there, but these little ID cards aren't gonna cost.
Yeah.
We'll just.
You can use an index card.
We'll
I mean,
in-house those.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. I think it's a great solution, and it could be like an annual thing where we just ask, is this something that I think is working?
Good. And I see, I don't know, I assume that Mrs. Maxwell's on the Zoom, so she's hearing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I can see.
She's concerned about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So at least she's hearing the conversation. So if she's like, what the heck? She can talk to you tomorrow and be like, that's not gonna work. Or if she's like, oh, it looks great or whatever. At least she's heard, you know, the people on I can see a couple people. One just says phone and one just says R. So I don't know who all's on there, but one does say Channel Maxwell. So
I think we should if we do that, make them have their picture or something on that badge.
the sticker.
Otherwise, it'll turn into like the wellness center and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you want it in the library? And everybody starts sharing that.
That's what I was wondering, how do you-
That's a
With the
joke.
print,
So you
we'll
need
just-
to have
Yeah.
a picture of them printed on it.
So when you hold it to a camera or whatever, can you see the person and the card? Or I don't know what the camera view looks.
It's a pretty wide view. It's a
Yeah.
pretty wide view.
Like John said, you want to try to make sure to at least match up the card with the person.
Most of the people, they're gonna know.
What
Before,
Right.
you know what I mean? I don't think anyone comes in that I don't know personally, probably from before I was librarian.
What is the age for that though? Because we're really talking about it from like what we do for
During school
adults.
hours.
And the non-school hours, I guess, I don't know how you guys. would
But when
manage
school's
that.
out, then they can just walk in.
So this is just between 8 and 3:10.
When our doors are
When our doors are locked, you need to have that. So then school kids would be. in
I'm just
school.
thinking if you have like a 15-year or a younger kid that comes here on their own, because maybe they're or something, or from.
They would have to get an ID.
They would have to get an idea at least the first time. And
I didn't know how this checker thing worked.
I don't
If you're
know.
somebody
I wonder if you
that
enter somebody, they would probably come up as like no violations or something, and it would just print a picture and.
I'm just making sure we weren't like creating something that.
I can only think of one homeschool family that comes in during the day. And you know, if they're in with their parent and they're
Right.
under 16.
Yeah.
They're probably, they wouldn't be coming in alone.
And if you, like, with the badge system that we have, like, if I didn't have my license, I could type in my name and my birth date, and then it will just search it.
Okay.
And then, so most kids, I would think, I've never tried it with a kid, and, but,
I just wanted to make sure
yeah.
that there was
Yeah,
an
I
out
think
if somebody didn't have it.
I think the state will cringe about it, but as long as they can still go around and access. Even if they don't have the badge, they can go and access and then get the right credentials. I think it should work.
So our next steps for this, if everyone's good with it, is, we'll talk to Greg and see about getting a quote for moving the
The buzzer.
buzzer. And then, we can talk with Angie and Amanda. And I know that we have a third one of those things, so, of the,
Somewhere.
yeah, I feel like I took it down to Amanda's office because I wasn't using it, because I hardly had anybody down here. But we can do some figuring out where that is, and over the summer, get the whole thing up and running.
Well, even if we didn't have the scanner, I mean, as long as they've
Because
been
Angie,
cleared.
yeah,
And we have, that they tell us they've been cleared. we can go
Once
on.
they've originally got it done, it's not,
Yeah, once it's, because I don't think we would.
I guess I'd just as soon have one of our employees do the initial scan rather than that be on
You and us.
you.
okay,
Well, we can walk them down there and get.
Yeah.
sure.
And and these are people who've been longtime Baxter residents, so I don't think we'll need to do the once a month thing.
No.
We did,
I
I
would think
think
it's just,
once a
somebody
year
new.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Should work. I'm very happy with this. I think that'll work, and I like the idea of the badges, which I didn't have in my report.
it's a good thing you came.
Yeah.
Might want to check on the cost too, of just adding a fourth buzzer rather than moving one to keep one in here. You know, if it's the same money, it's like,
Yeah.
well, might.
So, we're gonna talk about this in a minute, we're adding a buzzer to the wellness center, and that's $2,800, so. If we're adding another buzzer. A buzzer to what? Fourth buzzer to what?
Well,
Instead of moving this.
instead of moving this
Just
one to
the
the
phone
library,
itself,
just
so
leave
the
this
buzzer
one
itself,
here,
but
yeah.
It's, yeah,
Having another one installed in the library.
yeah.
Thank you, Marie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome coming.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Bill, you're excused too. Thanks to both of you for coming.
That's one thing.
Is that your hat, Bill?
Yeah, grab it.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Kind of back on track here a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we can like go through these other things.
So,
I think you're at safety and security, and you're gonna update us on what the SR.
yeah, so Chris. Met with, or talked with Lieutenant Gonzalez down at Jasper County. Pull up his email, make sure I get stuff right. Here's Chris's notes. So yeah, this is Friday morning. You talked to him, talking about SRO, because the city's talking about contracting with Jasper County Sheriff for coverage for the city. Kind of we talked about that, the city school meeting there last month. A half ago. So yeah, this SRO would be a fully dedicated officer at school. All week, not here, a couple hours here and there, but all week, all day. The only time you might leave if there's like a big emergency somewhere or bank robbery, whatever.
But I thought I saw on there where it said he wasn't going to be like doing double duty, or, like if there was a call, and he wasn't going to be leaving, or.
Unless it was like a big emergency.
Yeah,
right?
the
I
SRO
mean, I get like if it's a big,
would be fully dedicated to Baxter CSD, would not have dual duty in the case of serious emergency. So like, he wouldn't be in the school.
if there's a traffic issue
Yeah.
out here.
And then patrol
yeah.
the city for a while, he would be.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's the way I took it. I guess kind of the one thing that I'm curious about is obviously cost, but there's a grant that I believe the county is working on, the sheriff's office is working on. That would basically be fully funded for the school. I don't know how it works for the city, but for the school, it would be fully funded if we get this grant.
Yeah, it sounded like to me like the city wouldn't actually be a part of this SRO situation. It's basically between the school and the sheriff. Once that 3 years is up, then, and we don't get any more funding, then we could bring the city in potentially and
We just
because,
have to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the other sticky part from what I get from Chris's notes. Is if say a year from now, the city
Yeah.
says we're gonna do our own thing, our own police department again. Okay, great, but how does that affect the grant and our SRO? Because they kind of have to be tied together. It's not necessarily the city and school working together, but the city has to have an agreement with the sheriff in order for us to have the SRO.
So it's like a three-way partnership.
It's not necessarily, you know, the city pays this much, we pay this much, or the grant and all that. It's both have
This
to
is
be,
during the grant.
yes.
I received an email from Doug today. And I think it's just me, but it said that he had also visited with Lieutenant Gonzalez last Friday. And that they have submitted a grant request on our behalf for a full-time SRO. If we as a Baxter contract with JCSO, that grant will stand. If we choose to hire our own chief of police, we will need to submit the grant on.
I got that one too. So I emailed him Friday night about it, because I'm trying to figure out what they're gonna do also. So Doug emailed me, Dalton McKinsey actually emailed me back over the weekend too. Kind of the same thing, but it's like, well, we'll do it for at least a year. Well, it's like, well. How does that affect this grant if you're only doing it for a year or shorter than the 3-year grant term? How does that,
Yeah.
I mean, are we gonna have to try to figure out how to fund it for another year after that?
So if the city backs out after a year, does the partnership just dissolve and then we have to start over? Or do we say like, okay, fine, we're gonna pay for it, or are we locked in for 3 years? if
I
they
don't know. I
back out?
think those are.
I would, the way I understood it is the city would file a grant thing, right? Instead of the county filing on our behalf?
I think what
that's
Corey's
That's
talking
based
about
off the
is,
May 28th decision.
is if we start off with the sheriff providing service to the city,
City,
say for the first year, and then the city decides to go back and hire their own, go their own way.
Okay.
We're kind of tied in with the. that
Because
grant.
it then becomes expensive for us, if I remember the conversation, because. We would have to help them purchase like the vehicle, some of that stuff. It wasn't that the cost savings or why we probably be in a better position. Like,
Yes,
we also layer PCM because we have our own normal big equipment and stuff. Yeah.
It sounds like from this email, they're gonna decide on May 28th which way for the initial. You know, how the city's gonna go, so.
But they probably will agree to it only a year at a time, is my guess, right? The city.
I think that's
I
the
can't-
discussion they've had.
Yeah, I can't imagine them locking in at 3 year, you know,
Yeah.
that makes me a little nervous.
Right.
After we've gotten in a year into it or whatever.
So yeah, that's what it is. I mean, not only for us, but if Jasper County goes out and hires a whole new person for the
For this
sheriff's office
position.
for this position, and
Right.
a year from now, well, we can't afford however much it might cost, and are they stuck with the guy, or they just?
Yeah.
Because that was
you
the
know?
benefit to the county. When school's not in session, they have another
oh yeah, in the summer.
not road trooper, but whatever I'm trying to, deputy or whatever. So that's why that benefited them. And, okay.
So, yeah, I think. If it works out, it's awesome, but I just think there's some questions in there yet that we need to figure out.
I think you're probably almost gonna have to have a commitment from the city that they'll agree to this for 3 years.
And like I say, I don't know, say that when Doug said about, we'd have to file our own grant, I don't know what that.
Yeah.
Is it talk about cities, talk about school, or are they getting a grant?
And
I
are you
don't-
talking about it in the, after the first year is over, or when they decide to pull the plug, or, you know, and then are you really gonna be approved, or, I mean, you know,
Is
there's a
the
lot of
grant a
what.
shoe-in, or is it like, let's say we all three decide to go together, it did seem like you just get the grant.
Yeah,
Right.
probably, it sounds like. A good chance to,
Think it's promising.
yeah, I don't know how many they would ever deny, but it sounds like it'd be a good chance to actually get the grant. Really not worried about that part of it.
I know that when I asked the question about after the 3 years, we have to start splitting the costs. It was if you couldn't afford it, you could get out of it, but I think the question we have left is, it's during that 3 years, can we get out of it?
Yeah, and I feel like
maybe I was drunk on that night, but when we were having that city school meeting, I could have swore that Doug said after that 3 years, then if there was a cost, then it would be split 3 ways, you know, between the city and the school. Yeah,
Because in the summer, the Jasper County.
yeah.
So what benefit would it be to the city? Like, once the grants, like, runs its course, why would they pay a third of it if they're working for us and they're working for Jasper County?
I don't even know if the third is that an actual
Oh,
thing.
okay.
I don't.
No, I just-
I think.
Oh, okay.
Was I ever say something like that? Yeah. Okay.
Be no benefit to the city other than they'd have, there'd be more law enforcement in town for an emergency type situation, but just for.
No, but
general-
other than if they stuck with the sheriff as our police and not having to man their own department, I don't know if that's less cost or more cost or how that works, but if that would be the benefit that he was thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. I just think there's
Right.
some more questions we probably.
And we get 2 sharing
Yep.
for
And that's
SROs.
Talking to Chris the other day, he said, well, if there's a grant, does the state say, well, you're not getting the sharing dollars because you're getting a grant? You know what I mean?
I've never heard of
That
anything
was
like
just
that.
questioning.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that could be the only thing is.
Right.
Yeah.
Double dip type
Right.
thing.
No, because I mean, we're not even paying for it now and we're getting funding.
True.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they didn't charge us. Good thing, because we only have a half a year.
Yeah, I guess my question is, if we did have to start doing this after 2 years or 3 years or a year, how much would that cost us? Because let's say it's probably too much.
Yeah, not, minimum $60,000
Yeah, that's
probably.
kind of what's stuck in my mind. Yeah, I don't know.
So do we just need to, one of us reach out to Lieutenant Gonzalez and ask
I think
questions
I think
or?
Chris is, I'm thinking more just having. I kind of wished from a month and a half ago that the city and school would be working together on this thing. You know, be talking to Gonzalez together, but that's kind of gone separate ways apparently. So I would hope at some point in time, we need to get together with the city and figure out year, 2 years, what are you guys thinking? And have the sheriff's, have everybody there.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe the city's just waiting to see what direction they go, at least for the first year
After
on,
the 28.
if they're gonna hire the county to do their law
I see that they're having
enforcement, so.
a public forum or whatever for that
Oh, like,
discussion, for
yeah.
input, I guess, for that.
Right.
I don't know when it is. I can't remember when it is. I just saw it on the agenda. We're gonna set the date maybe tonight.
There's something tonight. Isn't there?
There's a meeting tonight, but I think it was on the agenda that they were gonna set the date for
Like
a community
the
discussion. or
Take
whatever.
round table.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I can't.
Well, maybe we throw out there or tend to say like, in the consideration of whatever your decision is, we would also be interested in long-term with your 3-year plan, so that way we can include that in their discussion.
The city's doing this, they're kind of saying on our behalf to some extent, but my question would be, should we have just went after the grant? But I mean, almost like leave the city out of it. It's like we have 3 people and technically it's just us and Jasper County, really.
You're locked in with the city because it's only free to us because we could use their equipment. That was the understanding. Otherwise, we have to fund the Jasper.
Okay,
Right.
that's right. I
So-
got you. Okay, that makes more sense. now. Okay,
We need. them
I
to-
see, I got
to
it.
agree to it.
Yeah,
Kind of
Got
Jasper County has some of the barrel, so to speak, because if the city doesn't do it,
yeah.
or we both have to do it basically.
Yeah,
You know what I
that
mean? So it's like they're getting 2 for 1.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I just think there needs to be everybody at the table.
Yeah,
That's kind of about what. Yeah, but I think Chris has talked to Gonzalez a little bit, so.
Feel like he should probably be the one who reaches out since he started that
Yeah,
conversation on
yeah.
our behalf.
It'll be for next year.
Yeah, maybe remember when we did the SRO
for this year, it wasn't July 1 that we were getting it done, we backed it up. So, I mean, it can still be done. I think it all probably depends on when the grant comes through.
Chris did make a note here that said if, say it did only go a year or two. He said, I don't know if he got this from Jasper County or kind of on his own, but he said we might have the ability to argue that since the grant's already there. It has to be 3 years, the city would have to commit 3 years. I don't know if that would be an argument to make or an argument, but
So I think, I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like we almost need to have a commitment up front.
The city's got the equipment though. I mean, I guess just ask them. They'd have the equipment, even if they wanted to hire their own chief separate of this. Would they have enough equipment to satisfy this and that? I mean, cause this is a benefit too, just to have it. But I was just
Is that
curious.
a conflict with it? Like, I don't know, like, does Jasper County and Baxter Towns, like, we hire the city, but hire their own police? I just don't know
Yeah, I don't
if that
know,
might be a thing that like, okay, what's the charge?
One, do they have one of the?
Something.
I think there's like a
Yeah.
suburban or a SUV.
Black and white one, so I can tell you.
We got a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good point, though, that if say down the road, then Baxter wants to hire a police chief and we want to continue our relationship with the sheriff's department for the SRO. I mean, why is that not a possibility?
I just think it's this grant. It's the thing.
I think it's, yeah, I wish I could
Right.
get my eyes on the grant.
Will that fulfill the terms of the grant though, too? Even if we say Baxter on their own wanted to hire a police.
That's what it made it
chief,
sound like though. Both had to be.
They had to commit
To
to,
Jasper County for this grant to be viable.
Even an option, even your one.
Yeah. It's sad. Just a lot of questions. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's just.
I think it's a real, I mean, I personally think we need to have an SRO. I mean,
I would agree.
then all these other things for the kids, and it's like, that, to me, that's a piece of the puzzle we need to. have
It was great to have him here. Just whenever there was anything, any kind of, even discipline or some weird person at the park, I could text him or call him and he was right here.
I feel like that's more of a deterrent. If the public knows that.
That's more than any lock or any,
Yeah.
whatever we're gonna put in or whatever, to
Yeah.
me, it's
If
like I
They know that there's an.
spend our
SRO.
money on personnel and not the.
Yeah.
The hardware that
Equipment.
we're,
And like he was saying, the SRO isn't just about like keeping people out that shouldn't be in here. It's about people in here that maybe need that extra guidance, presence and guidance. And so I think it's really.
Yeah, I think. We're all in favor, just need to make sure that.
right,
everything-
don't get
It is what-
ourselves tied
And it
into
does
that.
on the road before we.
Well, maybe we need to see what that May 28th.
Yeah, I
Comes
think
through
that
first, and then
If that doesn't happen, it's kind of,
new point,
we gotta figure something out. or
yeah.
Maybe still over Jasper County, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because we can't really budget for it right now.
Mhm. Do you want me to relay that to Chris, or do you want to talk to Chris about what we're thinking? or-
Yeah, no, he'll probably get it. tomorrow. He said he
Perfect.
can get it
Great.
Or something. Maybe, yeah, set something up. Say the 28th, the city said yes, and set something up the first part of June with all three. Sure.
Mhm.
I think it's just still some questions out there. That need to be settled, I think. Talk about the soccer.
Okay, okay, it's time to either renew or not renew our sharing agreement with, Central Iowa United Soccer, which is West Marshall, East Marshall, Collins Maxwell. Oh, and Esco, I think they would do it too.
Mhm.
Um,
East Marshall's new.
East Marshall, West Marshall, Collins Maxwell, and some other schools like Colo.
I mean,
Little Colfax in that at one
Yeah.
time.
at one time,
And so it's, the thing
the
is,
whole thing.
we had one boy and two girls participating, the boys graduating. And talking with Kevin, did he email everybody? He emailed some of us and just shared his concerns about he's having a hard time finding drivers and there's a lot of cost incurred with it. And we do have programs that we have kids that participate in that we don't sponsor it, like the kids, we have some girls who go to diving and we say, God bless, go enjoy diving. But we don't transport them, we don't pay for the coach. Do we get a fee, a little fee for the girls that dive?
Well, this year was the first year that it was diving only. But in the years previous, we get a bill for the swimming and diving or whatever. And it's basically a per participant bill. They just split it between all the participants.
Like, for example, one day he sent us an email that said, they were having a really hard time finding a driver and they almost had to rent a charter bus. It was gonna be $2,000 to have this bus to haul the kids to a soccer match.
West Marshall, that's what
And-
West Marshall was in.
And so did Kevin,
So Kevin emails her back and says, I got a driver.
so Kevin drove or had a driver, so it. And I know that like we've talked about it for a long time, like I know our soccer numbers are just really low. So if this is something we want to continue to participate in and want to continue to fund it, I mean, that's certainly up to you guys, but if not. We need to not agree to the hearing agreement and then Mr. Vaughn will let the other schools know that we're getting out of it. And I think other schools have come and gone. Like it's kind of, it's not like Baxter's two students will make or break the soccer game.
Are we able to provide them with alternatives? Those, the day girls that want to continue.
They could still
Continue.
continue on their own. I don't know, would Dennis find like, would they still go to the Central Iowa United or would they have to share it with like Newton or something like that?
So of the two girls, one of them is actually open enrolled to us and she just drives herself already. So it's basically already there.
So the other one, we just say, we're not providing transportation and we're not paying for.
Yeah, I would
coaches.
just say you're on your own. You know, if you want to participate, then you have to find your way there and that, otherwise you can participate with the alternatives here.
Like, we just say we don't offer soccer anymore.
It is fairly expensive. I was just gonna pull up.
Say,
We have two other spring sports that kids can do.
And when you look at schools our
difference.
size,
like if we paid a fee, or however you want to say, versus paying coaches and transportation, what the difference might be.
it's still fairly expensive. Let me pull it up here. Yeah.
So the transportation issue, Michael, and they were having, it's our problem finding people to get them to practice or
Yeah.
for what you said, they're also having trouble.
They were
Getting
having
them to
to get to
Getting to
games.
the game.
So they were gonna, like, West Marshall was going to book a charter bus to haul the team.
Because they
And
couldn't find.
they couldn't find a driver.
Both,
So West
Yeah.
Marshall couldn't find a
Yeah.
driver, because Kevin.
So then they pass it out to all the schools that are part of this United?
Yeah,
and
so
None
we
of the
would've had to-
schools could provide.
Well,
that?
she didn't pass it out. She just says.
So she just said, we can't find
If we
it.
can't find a driver, we're gonna have to get a charter bus, just letting you know, giving you a heads up. So
And
then
then Kevin
said,
was like,
well, I can find a driver.
He said he found someone to beat it.
Yeah, it was an old,
You know,
one of our old bus drivers who now works for them, and she was a little, so then when he let her know that, she was like, oh. Not so nice. with him.
But at least.
So we kind of
the driver.
felt like she wasn't spending a whole lot of time.
Been spending our money.
Yeah, right.
You got it.
I know that I heard somebody say there was like over 100 kids and
There were 105
Youth
registered for
soccer.
rec. Once it started, I mean, it dropped at like 85, but you have to remember, and I remember just for having boys that age, you know, they started early as pre-K. It's the first opportunity for a 3-year-old to be involved with something. You know, so all my buddies are doing it, and through the Y, there hasn't been a registration fee for the last like 4 years. somebody's made this donation, so anybody that wants to join can join. So as a 3 and 4-year-old, oh, my buddies are doing it, I want to do it. Well, fast forward to Hayden's age. I like basketball, I like football. You know, eventually, I'm not saying it disappears in all of them, but then they get into the other sports, the footballs, the basketballs, the baseballs. And that's more intriguing to them than soccer. But soccer is the first thing at a young age. I mean, a kid can run up and down a field and kick a ball, you know.
Yeah, I know my two boys both played little kid soccer, and then as soon as they got into 7th grade, they went
Right.
for track, and then
Right.
our daughter went out for golf.
But as soon as you hit that threshold where they can do them all, soccer's the first one to drop off.
Yeah,
I was just wanting to throw out there, I knew there was interest, but I thought it was the same thing as what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's available.
Same thing with like little kids wrestling. Little kids go off from wrestling. We don't have 50 kids out from wrestling, you know, so.
It was just over $1,700 last year for the swimming.
That's like the participation fee or the,
Yeah, so what they do is they divide up the coach salaries, and if they have to get uniforms and, you know, travel and whatever that cost is, and then they divide it by how many participants they have. And if we have 3, then we pay for 3 participants.
How many participants, is that one? 1,700 was for one?
That's what I was saying.
So we have 2 or 3, I think we had 3, because it wasn't Andrig and Russell and another one.
I just know those
So-
two.
so 1,700 was for all 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty
one year.
affordable.
Well, so what if we,
Diesel.
what if you did I just like a stipend where if you want to participate in a sport that's not offered for us. We would pay up to X amount of dollars, but you're responsible for finding your own travel and stuff, but we would give this towards the fees.
I don't know if we can actually do that.
That's why I didn't know.
I don't know.
What did you, okay, say that again.
More of like a provide a stipend in the case of a swimming or soccer, say like we will contribute up to $500 in your fees for something that's like, because we don't offer it, a soccer or a swimming.
But that's, we are paying. I mean, that's, we are paying that other school.
Basically, what you're doing
It's
is
just-
capping it at a certain amount,
Yes.
so it's
You're
not
capping it.
2,000 or something.
So an example of they get into it, because we don't have any decision-making power in what these people are doing, and so if their costs go crazy, then we're just on the hook for it blindly, right?
So we paid $2,300 last year for soccer. If we were on our own, that'd be pretty similar, I think, by the time we pay a coach and uniforms and refs, if we, not to mention we don't really have the facilities.
So the kind of the only thing would be cutting out would be the transportation part of it, because we're still gonna have to pay part of the coach. If a kid were to go play soccer, they'd still have to pay part of the coach. Maybe uniform.
If we agree to be a part of this agreement, if we don't agree to it, then they're just on their own. So I don't know if then
Like-
United would let them play, that's, would then be between them and not us.
But we
had
still
kids
have to
that-
pay something. I mean, because if we're paying for the
Right.
diving and
That's what-
whatever, it's like,
What about-
why wouldn't we do that on the soccer deal?
When you did.
Good question, I don't know if we still will keep doing that or not.
Did we have kids that were out for bowling here? I thought I've heard people talk.
We did,
Did we pay for that?
no, they just went and joined another team, so they were on the team of Southeast Polk Rams. You know, they weren't, which is basically what this would be, if we didn't agree to this agreement. My kid wants to play soccer, they would just go be a part of a United, but I don't know how those funds would be paid. We didn't pay any funds to Southeast Polk,
They just allowed.
they were just,
to-
they allowed her to
We
be
just
on
had
their
a dual
team.
enrollment agreement or something with them.
No, we had no agreement. She just went and
That's how do they accept?
Yeah,
it?
that seems like, how could they just put them on their team then?
Well, I mean, there was no official agreement. Obviously, we called and said, hey,
They went
Can
to the
this
transfer
person-
portal.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a agreement, but there wasn't an official, agreement that was between the associations. They just said, I know you can do that at other places too, if say we didn't offer baseball, we could tell our baseball kids, you can go play for Southeast Polk. You're just going to be the Southeast Polk team. You're not going to be Southeast Polk Baxter. Kind of a
But
thing.
somehow Southeast Polk has to account for the enrollment, the Vets enrollment of the Baxter kids. Like I know when we had wrestling, maybe it was when we had soccer at Colonesca. And we had been sharing with Nevada. And then they dissolved, they didn't want to share with us anymore because they made like just 2 categories of soccer. And so they were counting, they
Oh,
had to
that's
count
right, yeah,
the Baxter or the
the enrollment
Colonesco
of the
kids
other
of that school. So that was gonna bump Nevada up to the next. I mean, not that Baxter would bump Southeast Polk, they're already 5A, but
Maybe that's the difference.
they have to count our kids, otherwise like, well, why wouldn't we just say, we could take anybody, like, if you wanna come from Ankeny, come play for us. And then, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, I don't know if it's the differences because, okay, now what if Southeast Polk was gonna come to Baxter, then that's a different story.
Right.
Because they're a bigger class, but we obviously aren't going to bump them up with one student, so.
but
But it'd be our whole enrollment.
it's our whole enrollment, yeah, it's your whole high school enrollment. You're
I'm
signed-
not part of that, so I
Yeah.
don't know what happened back then. I just know that we never paid a bill.
These are probably,
I mean, to me, that's an AD thing.
Yeah.
He needs to figure all that out.
well, Kevin was gonna come tonight, but he told me that he visited with Julie and
Yeah, and you actually relayed his
his,
thoughts.
yeah, that's what his was all about, we can't find drivers and it's expensive.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I
'cause
guess we just have to
even when we do
decide.
find drivers, we have to pay them, even if they're just going up there to drop them off.
And that's driving for practice. Does Baxter ever host practice and they're always, is West Marshall your?
It
Well,
used to
the
be-
first year we
We
did,
practice.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
no,
was-
practice was always here. but
part of the
games were-
deal when we did it originally
Yeah.
was Baxter was gonna be the practice side.
Mhm.
Well, that
Well, then we
last,
had all
maybe
these
the
other
first
schools,
year. or
1 year, I
whatever.
think,
yeah.
And it did make sense, cause we were kind of central at that time, cause that, wasn't Linville Sully part of the
Yeah,
deal?
so
And-
maybe PCM even.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
and
a way,
so we were kind of centrally located, but we didn't have the field, and I think,
we didn't have the games, right?
like Collins Maxwell couldn't, because their goalposts were
right.
permanent in their field.
So you couldn't.
So they-
So when we made that
Field
decision,
right.
it's like, yeah, that's good for us, because I
Right,
mean, practice would be here, and it's
Right.
like, we just, only thing we had to figure out was how to get them to the game.
yeah.
Well, that's kind of changed now.
But now
And
there's
we
no
had a
practice.
coach here.
And actually, we
One
did,
of our coaches drove, was
Yeah.
Mr. Bowley was the
Yeah.
coach and he
Yeah.
would drive them.
yeah. And actually, we just had to get them, not even to the game, we just had to get them to,
To like West Marshall, I think, right?
or Collins Maxwell, one of those.
One of
We just
them,
had to
so
get
that they
them to
hopped
there
on
to
the
get on that
bus.
game bus, and then everybody went together, so. We could just pay for somebody to take them up there, drop them off and come home, because then generally the kids would ride with their parents.
So I think, I guess. Several things have changed since we made that original agreement.
Yeah.
I mean, we're one of the charter members of it.
But we had a lot higher numbers. We didn't have a ton of kids, but we had a lot more than
Right.
two that were participating.
And we had soccer ourselves, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it got to that point where we didn't have enough participation.
I think it was actually when we
Team,
went to
so,
Bolts.
yeah.
It was all about that same time that they were putting this united team together.
Oh, because we were CMB soccer still, because I remember
Right.
but we had to play for we were Spartans. We
Yeah.
had to wear like Spartan
Yep.
uniforms,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
even they didn't have enough.
And that's what I'm talking about. So basically, we went and joined their team,
Well, then
right?
we went and
Because there
joined
was-
Collins Maxwell, but then. we
That's
had
what I'm
to pay-
saying.
Yeah, but we had
So
to
they were
pay,
the Spartans.
yeah, but we had to pay, right, because didn't Mr. Bowley was one of the coaches.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we had to pay
we
him.
had to pay for it and stuff. But it just, participation is just.
Yeah.
Continue to drop off. I guess we just need to decide. do you
Can they
want
be
to-
in United Soccer without us providing the transportation?
My question.
That's my understanding that they can, but I can't speak for United. I wouldn't have any idea, but
No,
when
but if we
Mr.
don't
Vaughn
do
and
it-
I were talking, it was his understanding that those kids could, but then, so then do those kids just play for free, or how do they, where's the billing going that should be going to us since we're not participating anymore, but yet we've got a couple of kids. I mean, one of those is open enrollment, so it's not even our kid, but I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah.
I think we're saying maybe you could still continue to have them be a part of that league, but not be doing any of the driving. And also setting some parameters with whoever's running that we're not gonna pay, that we need some sort of upfront this pricing before we agree to anything, coaches.
So who does run it?
West Marshall.
West Marshall is,
I think it was West Marshall because they were in the Heart of Iowa Conference
They had the
and
most kids.
well, and they were in that conference, so our kids and Heart of Iowa offered soccer as a conference sport. So they could get all conference honors, whereas if they were in, like, anybody else hosted it, like the Iowa Star Conference doesn't offer soccer as a sport. So kids couldn't earn all conference, like first team, second team, any of that. So the reason we chose West Marshall was because they were the only school in the Heart of Iowa.
I'm a little bit surprised that all these schools can go together and be united, Central Iowa United, and still be under the,
I think because West Marshall holds actually, they're probably Central Iowa United, West Marshall or something like that. So like West Marshall is like the contact and their AD is
The host.
the host school.
If memory serves me correctly, there's only like two classes in that. In soccer, I mean, a big and a small, so it's like, we're gonna be in the big class or whatever, just because, and so then the beds deal really wasn't it wasn't like 10 students are gonna move you from
no,
2A to 3A or
Right.
whatever, you're already gonna be in
Yeah.
the large class, but
Yeah.
I guess to me, you just said that, Michael, that our conference doesn't even offer soccer. To me, that answers my question.
Is the,
and this, you said soccer's the springs.
It's the same time as track.
So what do we have?
and softball.
What do we
Golf,
have?
golf and track
Okay, so
and
what
soccer.
do we have for participants currently?
in three.
And that's these three that's on
That's
here?
these three kids that
And
are,
one graduating.
Okay, okay, so it was under, okay, I got you.
And of the two, one of those is open enrollment.
So when you say open enrolled, then she just comes up here for soccer, or she comes for school too?
She comes for school,
Okay.
but she drives herself to soccer.
the transportation and paying the coaches currently, does that come out of the student activity? Good shape.
How often do they
Every year.
is it every year? So some year we get 12 kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's a big deal to join every year. I mean, I'm not the AD, but to me, it
That's
seems
what-
like it's a pretty simple thing to do. You sign a cooperative agreement and
I feel like it's a year to year, but I don't know if Central Iowa United will be like,
we agree to it every
thanks.
year.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Like,
I get you.
Well, I said that I don't want to be responsible for providing the transportation because it's a lot to figure out how to get some one person somewhere that, especially if at that age, they're getting ready to be able to drive. I'm assuming it's 6 years, so like it would be transportation.
I mean, I just feel like, when Hannah played soccer, she played soccer and softball. So she was going back and forth to both. But at the beginning of it, it's also track and it's also golf. And I feel like it'd be one thing if we didn't have something
else for them to do. I feel like we have sufficient options.
I'll have to, like, if we're gonna use like numbers as how we're gonna decide things, then we probably do need to start looking at all the sports, because do we have enough kids for cross country? Do we have enough kids to continue to host wrestling? Do we have enough kids to continue golf? I mean, maybe
Well,
we
we're
do.
really already doing that when we are
Yeah.
deciding, are we doing just a head coach? Are we doing a
Yeah.
head coach and an assistant
And is
coach?
it a year
Or,
to year?
you
I
know,
mean,
so, yeah.
I know like when Courtney was a golfer and the numbers were getting kind of low, and they were like, we're not sure that we're gonna continue to offer this. And then we shared 1 year with Molonesco,
Mhm.
and
It was CNBCN.
yeah, and so she golfed through like the Colonesco team. Like their shirts were blue, and but then they had enough kids. I have no idea. I mean, she didn't drive herself to golf practice, I don't think. Well, Padge was coach, so Padge drove them to Colo for practice. But I don't know, I assume then
That was
Colo
a few
drove
years
you.
we did that. Mhm. Yeah, so then we just shared, you know, it was just like, you know, CNB, you know, we billed each other for the expenses. We just shared the relays instead of two.
I think the sticker shock of the $2,000 charter bus is what we were like, okay, hold on, what is going on? Because the like fee from like paying for the refs, like just our, because we only get billed for our share of it. So if we had 8 kids, we'd pay, 8 times the head count.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I said, you know, we're at just under $2,300 for 1 year for soccer. But that's for 3 kids. That's not a whole team. And that's what our cost would be probably for a whole team.
How much do we pay for like girls golf? Because we don't have a full team for girls golf. Like, I mean, or they just barely do.
There's 7 officially out, 6 are really participating.
So that's probably enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
And I know like cross country, they couldn't run as a team. They could individually, but they need 7, 5 to score, and they didn't have 5 girls that ran. But that's also kind of a year to year. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, but we haven't said we're gonna drop cross country. But I'm not advocating for soccer, not advocating, I'm just things to think about. But like John, like I said, like ultimately our conference doesn't offer soccer, which is probably a reason, because tiny schools just can't offer everything. We don't offer tennis, we don't offer.
It was $1,000 for golf. 1 year.
There you go.
Oh, but that's not including, salary. That's just to, have a course rental, membership fees, entry fees, that's not include salary, let me tell you what salary is. That salary comes out of general fund.
But your understanding that Dennis said that if we decide not to offer it,
7,500 in coaching,
that's how much we pay for girls golf. Then
all golf, because
Golf.
it's together.
Okay, so
So 8,500 for kids golf.
so 4,000, 4,200 for girls golf, 4,200 boys golf. So this is, what was it, 2,300, and that's for all the soccer, all in, that's for, that's like 3 times as much for golf as we're paying for soccer. When you think about that, we've got like girls and boys soccer.
We got a lot more kids, twice the kids.
Yeah.
3 times the kids. I mean, how many girls golf and how many boys golf, do you know?
You say 7 girls?
7 girls and how
7
many
girls golf?
guys?
That's what I'm not sure. I think it's probably around 7 or 8, but a lot of them, I think Yeah, I think that there's probably 12 to 15. That's the same here.
Total
Boys, girls.
There's quite a few boys.
I said, I thought I had.
You have to have 5 for a team.
I mean, there's like 10, 12.
Are there kids that dual sport, like golf and track, like Kate does track?
Yeah, I think.
So you divide that 8,500 by 15 or whatever.
566.
Thank you, sir.
I just,
There's like a,
number. I think it's more kids. If you said there's 10 or 12 boys, I didn't know.
Yeah, we guessed 15 kids and that, so if it's more, it would actually be a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're down maybe 500 a kid.
500 a kid for that, and I think I mean, if we're just looking at it like that. You'd be like soccer was.
A kid. If you're at 300.
What did I say, 2,300 or 3 kids? So you're looking at 800.
I don't know the exact agreement too, but you know, we're paying for uniforms. Our booster club buys the uniforms for our teams, so we're paying, they might be double dipping on us, you know, for like say Dwight diving. Oh yeah, we'll buy you uniforms, you owe us though, meanwhile the booster club already bought it. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just, things like that that are out of our control, like you say, we just don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't like the agreement with this based on what I've heard. Not saying we should have some sort of softer solution, but I don't think it's.
Well, I mean, we can recommend to discontinue the agreement. I think that's the recommendation of Dennis, wasn't it? And Kevin, I mean, not that Kevin has, but just as the transportation director.
One less thing off his plate.
Yeah, and then there, I mean, it gets the other part of it's a little concerning is how much they're willing to spend and build, you know, a charter bus. It's like, if it was our own money that it's like, we'd figure out something rather than just call up a charter company and say, hey.
I think you'd forfeit as long as we spend $2,000.
I mean, it took a day and a half to get from Chicago on a charter bus, because they're PC, so they get a charter bus in a day. But, yeah, and I think just say knowing the activity funds, we're always begging for money from Booster Club, just to balance that thing out. Obviously, it's not gonna bring in any money, so we have some other sports that don't either, but.
Yep.
It's more participation is also.
I guess I'd make the motion based on low participation and also that our conference doesn't. Stop that we withdraw from. Central Iowa United. Free like soccer central.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, say no. Team participation in soccer program.
Next, it's just the calendar. It's really late this year, but we were waiting to see if the legislature changed start date, and they didn't. So it's kind of an early start with new teachers on August 9th, but the reason is on August 12th, 13th, and 14th, we have a whole bunch of staff that are going to the PLC conference, and the dates are locked in, and we don't really have the funds, like, we don't have the funds to just pay for 20 staff members per diem to go for those 3 days. So if we put them as contract days, then they're just part of their contract. They're being paid their normal contract. So 20 staff members will be going to the PLC conference, and this has all been run through with Chris and Clay and Wendy and Zach and Rob, and we've all talked about it, so we're blue in the face. This is the agreement they've come up with. It's been shared with the teachers, the whole staff. We sent out like 3 or 4 different options for them to give feedback. And this is the version that got the most, it's a teeny tweak, but this is the version that the staff also approved of the most. And so the 12th, 13th, and 14th will be, the PLC conference for new staff, and then the other staff will be that week. They'll work 3 of those days, not necessarily those 3, like, because I also know it's during the fair. So like if they have a kid showing an animal or, you know, whatever, going to a concert, whatever. 3 days that week they have to work, and they'll check in with Clay and Zach to confirm which days they're working. And then everybody, all staff will be back, or teaching staff will be back on the 20th and 21st, and then typically the 22nd is when like all the paras, bus drivers, everybody, Corey might come say a few words, on the 22nd, and then school starts on the 23rd. And so then there's not a lot of full day PDs within there, but it's because we had to use all those PD days. It's just a weird situation this year with PLC conference. And there's just not the budget to pay 20 staff members for 3 days. So this is the only way we can make it work. But I think it's a good calendar. So spring break at the normal time, it matches up with the region's schools. There'll be 2 full weeks for kiddos. Teachers will have almost 2 full weeks. They'll come back for the Friday, January 3rd for a work day. And then kids will come back on January 6th. So it's pretty darn close to a 2-week spring or Christmas break or winter break. It still gets everybody out before Memorial Day. So.
The only thing I have was with all of the new staff coming in. As the 9th is nice, but if you have a whole bunch of people out the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And the new staff are in here working, are they gonna have support to like for questions?
Zach will be here, and then some of the veteran teachers will be here. Dennis, like if you're a secondary teacher, Dennis will be in the district. So actually, those new staff are the ones that are going to PLC, now that you say that. There's some lunch and learns over the summer, so they'll get to know Wendy and Chris and Clay and Zach. And then they'll be all together, the new staff on the 9th, saying, okay, here's how you do Baxter, here's Baxter things. And then work out all the details of like, okay, we're gonna meet at Wells Fargo or whatever. And then they all go, Chris, Clay, Wendy's gonna go, but she'll be also with, Colfax Mingo is sending their whole district. But they just have a bigger PD budget than we do. And so they'll be with them on those dates, and then Haas will be in district with his staff, and then the veterans will be here.
It might be a good opportunity for the Colfax and go Baxter to like,
Yeah,
tear up
Mhm.
the early mentorship.
Yep. So,
The same 9 o'clock starts on Monday.
yep, just pretty much everything is the same except those kind of PD days, and we tried to match up, I believe it's January 20th. And then April 21st, we have matched up with Colfax again, because those PD days really did seem valuable. People really, really like those. We've got that worked out to do the light calendar. Conferences are about the same. Thanksgiving break's about the same. Everything's about the same.
Built-in hours.
Yep, it comes out to, we have to have 1,080 and we have 1,118. So that's about 38 extra hours. So that's so about 6 extra days. So we've got time built in. So we got a little bit close this year. We got to one more snow day and we're gonna start making this up or something.
Likes it.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the calendar.
So
Second. Second, all those in favor, about saying.
Aye.
425 calendar has been approved. 2080 agreements.
So these are. They're not linked, but they're
No, because none of them are done.
oh, okay, but so they're just the same as like we've done. So we've got. So there's different schools that contract with us. So one day a week or one day a month, Greg is he contracts, he goes to Colfax Mingo and PCM, and Nevada. And so you by law have to employ a school librarian. Doesn't matter if they're 1 day a month or every single day in your district, but you have to have on your budget report that you have a librarian. So Greg is our librarian, but then he also, because all these other schools don't have a librarian because they're hard to find, they have a para that runs their libraries. And then Greg will go once a month to, like, let's say PCM and collaborate with their para, make sure things are, yeah, so anyway, and then they pay us a small fee for doing that. And I know they're interested. I've had 100 emails from PCM, like, when are we, I'm like, I swear, we have a board meeting tonight. Tomorrow morning, I will send you the 2080 agreement. And then the maintenance director, at GMG, that's one we've been sharing this year, but that's one that, kind of, like, we don't share bill, but it's more of just a collaborative relationship, like if they need help with something or they need to borrow something. And now that Chris will be over there and here, I'm sure it'll be even more rigorous because he'll know both schools and what both schools need.
So are these all of our 2080s?
Mhm.
What
Are
about
these-
Wendy? She's not on there.
Oh, she seems to be.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
I'm like, this doesn't look, because basically I wanna know, have we figured out where have we maxed out?
So transportation is for, and we need Jill on there for city school or school counselor.
Yeah.
So we've got, so she's 2, Wendy is 2, so that's 4. Transportation is 4, that's 8. Superintendent is 9, so that's 17. Maintenance is 4, that's 21.
And that's our max?
Yeah. SRO, you could share, you got 2 for that, but I don't know how that will work, but we're at our max now, so it doesn't matter.
That's what I mean.
And librarian, you can share librarian all you want, but that's not an operational sharing. They just pay part of the salary.
I'm just gonna interrupt you.
I
Do I have them on now?
think so. Librarian, school counselor, oh, you got that? Okay, guidance counselor,
Got the curriculum director.
yeah.
A motion to approve the 2080 agreements.
So move.
Second. Say aye. Aye. It's been approved. Got some decent bids. Same stuff.
Yeah.
This is actually because Rick. I was like, hey, you guys didn't do your bid. I'm gonna get one.
Who's he?
He's with Pico.
I was gonna send him.
We've sent them every year and they
Well,
never.
that's what he did. I mean, this is obviously outside, but like wherever you're sending it to, maybe let me know. And 'cause
I
it could
will.
be somebody that doesn't actually, they could be like a gray area that doesn't actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because he does bids all the time. That's what he does.
Okay, or even just send me his info,
Okay.
because, I mean, I've even reached out to like, to make sure that I was having the right contact information, not this year, but in the past, and I would just never get a reply.
And I have 2 key energy resources in Baxter.
Who are they? Besides Rick?
Janelle's fiance doesn't technically live here, but he runs the energy department. Right?
I think that's awesome because,
I'm not saying you can get any deals out of it, but I'm just pointing out.
no, but it'd be
They
nice if
have
we just got a
interest.
bid. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't ever
Everybody
just
honest,
got that.
yeah.
I think that we need to get a bid from them. And I said, I don't know if, yeah, like if.
Do
this
we
is
have to
all about
approve
that.
this tonight, or does it have to be approved, like, could we resubmit it with the right contact information?
That's what- And it depends on like for you guys, if you need to have it, but if we.
I don't need, I just need it in place by July 1.
So we
Yeah,
can do it.
I think if you looked up, he could.
Just
reach
email
out to
me his
you.
contact information and I'll email it to him, because I just email
He
it.
just wants the bid for me, so I don't think it's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, let's just table that one.
Can't really show them this, but
I won't show them.
Yeah.
I, no, I won't.
As long as you can-
That's not a good thing.
I wasn't gonna do that. I was just gonna be like, here, at least I know that you've got a bid, because most.
Yeah, like say, well, be good to have options, like I say. It's not terrible, but
I mean, we even had an Ames company say, yeah, we'll bid it, and great, so then I go to all the work of putting it together and send it to them, never hear a word.
I can show you, I will make sure that he responds to you. Just so you have an option.
That
So
would
we're
be awesome.
choosing.
That would be,
What's gonna help us with bread?
yeah. Table,
He'll eat
yeah,
it.
it's till next month, Larry.
Yeah, yes, we do that. We'll just table it till next month, Julie.
the two
The
bids,
fuel
yes,
bids, yeah.
yes, that's perfectly fine.
I'll make that motion.
They were the table, the gas, diesel bids.
I,
How's that next week? First, bread and milk. Who doesn't like bread and milk?
Big time stuff.
I feel pretty good about their bids that they're, well, I mean, we got people. That's out, but she does send out a lot of people, so.
So is it all the same stuff? Like,
Yes, so we put the list in of what we want them to bid. So she's actually went through it and believes that Panagold is the best option for you. It says right there, she recommends the bid to Panagold. And that's who we currently have as well. We don't have any issues with.
It looks like they got the best price on most things, so.
Remember, we used to have Bimbo, remember, because we always used to make fun of that name. That was actually Earth Grain.
I really thought she just put that because they didn't put a bid.
No, bakeries. Used to be Earth Grain, and they, they kind of went away and they don't serve this area. That's why that's plain.
Huh.
Yeah. And they actually had our bid for years. I mean, not only did,
Until about 3 years ago, I think.
yeah, I mean, they got it
Yeah.
for years.
I think we're always happy with their product.
We
too.
were.
I mean,
Yeah.
just like to say they got out of the area.
so we have to do it individually, or do we just
You
say
can take them both if you want to go take a
looks
look
like-
at the milk.
milk? Looks like AE. was
Yeah,
the
the
best
AE,
price.
yep. We like AE. Our kids are pretty picky with AE. I always tell this story. We, got a lower bid. Who was it? It was, who was it, John?
Yep.
I think it was Highland Dairy. It was something dairy. And they didn't like our milk. Do you remember the fact that the kids were just having a fit? And yeah, so we ended up having to switch back to good old AE. And since then, AE actually provides us with those coolers down there. And so then we don't have to pay for those coolers, they maintain them and everything. And so it's kind of,
They got the lowest price too.
Yeah. they're usually pretty good for us.
I'll make a motion that we use Pan of Gold for bread bid and AE for the dairy bid.
Favor say aye.
I,
Same rule. Bread and milk bids are approved.
can they bring any party dip for the board?
I was like,
Kick a
pending.
little something in there.
Yeah.
I do have to ask if we can, maybe we're close enough before exam session, but I.
Go ahead.
Stopping the
And the open enrollments are all easy. right?
AE Nashville hot.
You got it too?
Is that a good coming out?
Yeah, it's, don't do it.
All right. The other one they got coming out of the Buffalo Ranch.
Yeah, this one was like, I love AE dip and stuff, but this
Oh,
was
yeah.
like. Barbecue. It's like crab, but it didn't. It had a weird.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Nashville hot. That's what I thought.
I've seen that one,
I
yeah.
thought that, then I took it by, I'm like,
You're like,
I'll try it.
So was it supposed to be like a barbecue?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a buffalo-ish kind of.
I saw another one that was doing, and our grocery store actually had it up there, which I was surprised if I can't remember.
Yeah, man, I skipped it.
Here. Let's see.
Okay, well, no. Because they're homeschooled.
Okay.
So there's no district to bill because they're homeschooled.
I see.
So the district that they live in doesn't get any money for them.
So they, basically, we approve, they come be a part of our sports, but we're really.
We'll get like 0.1,
Okay.
so 0.1 of 7. So,
Okay.
so that's me.
Okay. Okay.
It's really more of a reporting thing, a technicality thing. It's not for. Same way with, like if some kid, and we have this situation, some kids go to private schools and then they chose to come. We're getting money from them because they were going to private schools, and private schools aren't part of, yeah. Yeah, these are from the kindergarten roundup. Amanda has done a wonderful job in, I did this for several years with the previous secretary. She just, yeah, you just could never get it done by this time, you know, like in an organized fashion. So we were always playing catch up like in August or September. And so, when Amanda took it over, then I, you know, she takes over the enrollment forms and gets it all taken care of on time. Which is great because then it helps with our numbers. We know going in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they could always,
Better handle.
they could always not show up, you know, but we have a better handle on what's coming in, you know, before the actual day. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's go through the open enrollment list.
Alright. So open enrollment is, we've got Thomas and Caleb report their son Miles to dual enroll for homeschool for extracurriculars only. Resident district, school types bingo. Is that for? These are all
Right
for
now.
next year. Oh, that's for right now. Okay.
That's why it's separated. The rest are for 24, 25, but you can take off. Those are all in.
And they're all in, okay.
You can take
So
them all.
then Rebecca and Scott Gilcombs for their son Colton, 6, from CAM, Connections Academy, resident of Linville Solely. Sibling Madison, or sibling already goes here. Kayla and Adam Singletary for their son Grayson, kindergarten from East Marshall, Alyssa and Trevor Riley for their daughter Elena, kindergarten from Newton, Harley Hansen for her son Grayson, kindergarten from Newton. Nicole Leppy for her son Carter, kindergarten from Newton, Taylor Jollender and Marty Osmond's son for their son MacArthur, kindergarten Newton. Sorry if I'm responding these names. Ashley Daly for their daughters Elena and Emma, kindergarten from Colfax Mingo. Brittany and Josh Tucker for their daughter Finley, kindergarten from Colfax Mingo, and Katie and Michael Holloway for their daughter Hadley, kindergarten from Colfax Mingo.
Good list.
Mhm.
Have a motion to approve the open enrollment. Second. Favor say aye. Aye. Say no. Open enrollment has been approved.
And then Caitlin Joe Nielsen for her son to continue at Beaver Creek in Johnston, due to a recent move. So that's how we'll roll out.
That's just an FYI. Oh, I don't to approve those.
Talked about the projects list. I guess we can talk about the wellness center. For ground facilities. Good right there.
Did you have that, Julie?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
So really, I just need to go ahead if you're all okay with, upgrading the security and charging a $50 fee. The cost will be paid through the Education Foundation donations that were meant to go to the wellness center.
The committee was good with all that, right? We talked about
Yes,
that.
mhm. Yeah, I think we've talked with all the powers that be now.
And they had a donation that covered the cost of the door access deal, right?
They, the committee, you mean, they were gonna,
They got a donation to do that,
yes, you're right,
Right.
they did. I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
Also, we do.
which will we use that money to do?
For sure, we'll do that. We'll use the first. We'll use the donation, the big one first.
Through the fee or just the.
That's what I was gonna say.
The fee and then the upgrade to the security. To the facility, security to the facility.
So I make a motion to approve the $50 maintenance fee and the upgrade to the security system.
Second that. Favor say aye.
Aye.
No. Wellness center projects and fees have been approved.
Thank you.
Next, we don't do anything with this. I just wanted you to see there's a whole bunch of board policies that have just come through throughout the year. Some of them you've already approved, ones that say like approved in August. And then approved in October, and then down where it's highlighted yellow, not yet approved. These are some new ones. And they'll be coming, once all the new bills are signed into law. IASB will make one more policy primer before the end of the school year with the new ones, like some will be required, some will be like with the new state minimum, some will be recommended. But I just wanted to compile a list. And some of these, usually we're approving the, 300s this year, or the whatever. But I just wanted it in one place so you'd have it. So when, Chris comes, he's not having to scramble back through years of stuff. So it's right here and it'll be linked here. And so you'll know that these are things that came through this year that so some of them are required, some were, anything that was just recommended, I would read through them, and if it's like, I don't think that really fits us, I didn't add it to the list, but if there's things that really did, like, yeah, we probably need to do that, I added them to the list. So we don't do anything with this right now, but it's just right here in one place, so you'll always have it.
Well, we need to approve these eventually.
Some of them, yes. Like the ones that say like, 40101, that one says mandatory, yep, we're gonna wanna approve that one. So probably like for the, June board meeting, I'll have all the updates of the ones that will go into effect July 1st. So we'll wanna get them either approved in June or right after June, like in July, before school starts in August. But we'll just have the final list from IASB, so I'll just add that to the bottom. I'll make it. Sorry, go ahead.
When you get that list of like, here's what has to be changed, do they provide you a summary of why it's being changed? I'm just curious, is that something, maybe it's published somewhere?
Yeah, so like if you click, let's see.
Like I've read the policies and stuff, but
Right, so like just click on, for example, policy primer updates new in December. If you click on that link, it's gonna take you to the policy primer, and then if you go in deeper, it'll kind of tell you, here's where they are, and a little bit of description. Like student substance abuse, it's just an updated title. This policy has been updated to reflect the current law on age limits for purchasing tobacco.
They'll actually write
And they'll give us
the
the
policy for us and then say, you need to decide this or this for this policy and this or this for this policy. And
So if you keep scrolling down, you just keep scrolling, it'll show you like highlighted what changed, and then they'll have some, Siobhan Schneider is the IASB lawyer. So she put some notes off to the side. I usually don't put all that in there, but it's all linked in there, so you are obviously welcome to read into more than as much as you want to.
which thing gives you that version? These policy
So,
primers?
yep, so I clicked on, it was policy primer updates in December, new in December. Then if you click on that, it'll open up a thing that looks like this. Okay, and then if you just scroll, just keep scrolling. Like, I think it's page 5, it's got one of them, they changed it. The title changed from staff, they struck through staff, and it said responsible technology use and social networking. So like all those corrections on there, those weren't me making those are Siobhan. And then when we finally go to approve it, we match up the numbers so it fits in with our board policy manual. Because our board policy manual doesn't always match exactly with IASB's. You
Because we
guys,
don't approve all the
Right.
policies,
Right.
you know, because it may not pertain to us.
yeah, and you two, John and Corey probably remember when we had to approve some board policies for the safety grant and we had, some of it was just, we had to change numbers.
Yeah.
Like, because it had to match up with their numbers. So that was one of the things we had to do. So anyway, that's, that kind of big master list is what I've just been adding to as they come through, because I just didn't want us to miss something. And then that kind of leads into the superintendent report. The part in orange, I'm not gonna talk about, but I just want you to read that. And we'll have to come up with a policy. There'll be guidance. And we'll have to approve something before school starts.
Will there be recommended ones put out by?
Yeah.
They'll put them all out, and then they'll say, this one's required, this one's just recommended, this one's voluntary.
And then they'll say, depending on how your board decides to go, either choose this paragraph or this paragraph. And so then you choose the one that fits with your district.
It's a subscription service we pay for, and it's invaluable.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Have to
You
sit there
could
and read all the legalese and.
every or most
them
districts cover
Yeah, yeah.
these, like you look at almost anybody's board policies and they're word for word, because everybody subscribes to ISB. Or I would say most people. anyway.
Yeah.
Otherwise-
It has their own too, so.
Okay. Otherwise, it's just kind of wrapping up, like Rob and Jack said, we're just getting ready for the end of the year, and graduation is this Sunday, and you're all invited. Corey, I assume you'll be there 1 o'clock. Corey's up on stage, but you know, any of you are welcome to come. It is a special day. And you know, it'll be Rob's last, so that'll be kind of, he always gives a great speech, so it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. And then, you know, like this is the seniors last week, this week, and then the rest of the kids will be here next week. They get out at 11 on next Friday, and then we have the staff potluck luncheon thing. And then teachers will come back Tuesday after Memorial Day for their final work day. And then it's summer. So it's gone so quick.
Doesn't seem like it should be.
I know, it seems like not very long ago we were revving up, but you know, I know Chris and Clay have been doing a ton of work with Zach and Rob, and Wendy is gonna be just the glue to hold it all together. But I know Chris has worked quite a little bit with Julie. And I know Clay is emailing with Rob almost daily. So I think the district will be in good hands. Any questions about doing that? Okay.
Personnel, we see it, but
Bree Crook has taken a position in another district. I think they're moving. So she's resigning as our instructional coach and tech director and newsletter publisher.
Can take that one myself.
Okay. So
Motion to accept the resignation.
So moved.
Okay, guys, look at each other. Yeah, the motion in a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
If you really want to be on one, you really need to scream it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna pick.
Resignation.
pick away.
And then you need to discuss whether you want to keep the full-time sub position in-house for next year.
This is the one that, last year, It was just sort of decided upon with admin, and you all wanted to have that say in that.
Which we had that position this last year,
She's worked here this year.
right? That's worked out good.
Yeah, so,
Quite a bit.
yeah, so, we, I think she gets 175 a day. And for those of you who don't know, she's just sort of our first sub teacher. And, she's for 175 a day, but if for some reason she's not needed that day or half day or whatever, then she goes home and she doesn't get paid. So, I am in the process of doing payroll for the month of April, or well, for subs for the month of April, and I see that there were 9 days that she wasn't in district, so she's used quite a bit.
We do have a few more subs than we've had in the past, but that's not to say that we have plenty of subs. I know that Rob and Dennis and I and Zach sub some in classrooms as well. I know
I think
some,
we utilize more in elementary first.
she seems to be in ag a lot too.
Yeah, and then, yeah, and so then she'll float, but I think elementary is first priority. That's how we
What
we
is,
just did up a MOU
what's our normal sub pay?
105.
And that's something, that's been a big conversation that Zach and Rob and I have had, because I know some neighboring districts are raising theirs. I think it's Colfax 165.
Yeah.
I believe like Colfax is 165 a day. They're a lot higher than we are. And so unless the sub has a reason to be loyal to come sub at Baxter for $105 a day, they'll drive, 10 minutes down the road to Colfax for, $60 or $70 more a day. So that's something we might want to think about. Do you know when the last time we raised sub pay?
It really hasn't been that long. Was it when Todd was here? Or Matt?
It was probably Todd.
That's what I think.
Well, I've been here.
So I think
6
it was like
years, so-
was it 95? It seemed like.
Yeah, it was 95, we went to 105, and I just got the numbers from them.
So that was
Well, it's at least.
at least
6
5 years,
I've
6
been here
years
6
ago,
years,
yeah, so.
Did the legislation not give any requirements for some pay?
No, it's not like a sub pay,
Nope.
So it's kind of like a dog eat dog world too, because you have to compete to get, we're kind of all competing with the same people. We've got a few subs who are, sub here, like, but now we've used them, like Mrs. Cross. She was like in a classroom all year long. Then we've got a couple that enjoy subbing here, but they sub other places. But we just are gonna have to look at that, like, if everybody around us is paying 160 or 170 and we're paying 105, that's gonna make a difference in a paycheck. So, but it's also gonna make a difference in the budget, so. I mean, that's not something that has to get decided tonight, but it's something to keep on your radar.
You have something, Julie, you can share with us, like, as far as, how many sub hours we, not good night, but I just mean like, how many sub hours we pay every year, I'm assuming, for the last however many years.
I know
On
the
average.
amounts that we pay, and I can let up for you
Yeah.
very easy.
I was saying maybe in June we can talk about it, or July or something, we could talk.
I was trying to figure out, like, budget wise, what that looks like if we typically pay an X amount. Days or hours. That's okay. It's okay to do that. That's not what it's all about.
It used to be about $25,000 a year is what we paid for subs, 30,000. Since Ange has been here and we've adopted an electronic sub assigner. But we've been able to cut that cost down. We utilize people more efficiently. We may ask in-house subs or in-house teachers to, sub a period here or there or the other if we can't find someone. So we've cut that cost down significantly. But then on the flip side of that, we do a lot of, we've really upped our PD, our professional development. So sometimes if they're in professional development, then even if they're in district, they're in PD, so they're not in the classroom. So then we'll still hire a sub to come in, you know, for those reasons. So.
Is there a recommendation on when you should or shouldn't do the full-time staff?
I'm a little bit surprised that Haas didn't say something about it because he really went to bat for this in the first place.
I was gonna ask you about it here next.
Yeah,
I
so
forgot
I'm
about it.
I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't say something about it. I'm sure he would advocate for it. I'm sure of it.
I mean, it is nice to have her, no, I guess we could get people to sub at secondary a lot easier than the elementary. But like, I don't mind sitting in and subbing, like, you know, in the middle school, I sub a ton in the middle school. There's just a lot of staff that are gone a lot in the middle school. But the secondary is just easier, because you could still be like, I can be working on things on my computer and they're doing their Google Classroom. But the elementary, I mean, you have to be like on, like, they're doing like reading groups and teaching math and all those things. Like, you can't just tell like a second grader, get on Google Classroom, you know,
Yeah,
teacher linked an assignment.
and maybe it's a thing when we go to look at amounts that you're paying higher for an elementary sub versus a secondary sub or.
Could be, but I mean, the fact that we only pay her on days that she's here, it is nice. And if our rate for her is more than it would be for her to like go to Colfax, 'cause I mean, she lives pretty close to Colfax Mango. So if it's not gonna be more, then like, no offense to Baxter, but why would she come here? She could just go.
Part of the deal last year, I think, when we talked about it with the higher amount was that we kind of had her exclusively. I mean,
That's exactly
you
right.
never had to worry about
Yeah.
calling. She's like, nope, I'm here today or whatever. It's like,
And that's what it
it's either
is.
she was either gonna sub in Baxter or not sub
Yeah.
at all. So, I
And
mean,
she liked it because it's not an actual contract, you know, so there are a few days in there that we've given her. They like to go to, you know, cattle shows in Colorado and places like that. So this kind of an agreement gives her that flexibility. Mhm.
And with her being an elementary teacher who was in our building, she's familiar with our curriculum, so it's not like kids in second grade or third grade are just kind of spinning their wheels for a day with a sub. Not that any sub's not doing their best, but like Cassie could really kind of pick up where the other teacher left off because she knows the content.
If you want to keep the the in-house sub, you're not actually approving her, you're approving the position that you want to keep it for another year. And then I would ask you if we want to revisit this every year, or do you feel comfortable going forward that it's just gonna be a standard, or you tell me? Because last year you decided you wanted it on here, so that's why it's here, so. Makes no difference to me. When we're in a budget reduction environment, that would be one of the first places I would go with it. We aren't in that imminent environment right now, so.
I think it's good to keep it on
So
for yearly approval.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like you use it.
So I'll just continue to put it on around this time or around the times that we're negotiating or approving contracts or things like that. That's how I'll remember.
I'd make a motion too that we continue for the next year with the
Okay.
full-time. So,
Second vote.
Who gets credit? Who gets
We want for
credit?
brownie points here, Rick?
Yeah,
Or what's the deal?
All those in favor of the full-time subs, yeah?
Aye.
Aye. No. Time sub approved.
Do we have the science yet? What's? Is that high school science? Did we approve that already?
I have the contract, but I don't know that we.
I'll get it next month, because I
He asked
haven't
me,
looked to see
yeah,
if we did.
he asked me.
He's got it signed.
Oh, he's got a signed contract.
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to
Yeah.
approve it or anything?
That's why I can't remember if we've
Did we
approved it
approve high
yet.
school science?
I don't think we.
Can we just,
I think
That's why I
that
wrote down
just,
resignation.
just.
It
brief,
doesn't
yeah,
happen, was how.
That day or something.
There were a lot of approvals,
Yeah.
but.
I'll just put it on next month,
okay, well,
because it's gonna be a new amount in it.
yeah, well, just so you know, we have a high school science teacher. We'll approve the contract next month. It's signed, but, Mr. Funnemark is coming back for, guess the guy can't get enough of teaching. Dad, are you crazy? Like,
For an encore performance.
I guess, yeah, I guess so, but at least this time he'll actually be in his content, and not that he knew ag and stuff, but like, he was a high school science teacher for years. So, our kids will be able to take his classes for college credit, and, it'll be a pretty good gig for him and for the kiddos, so it'll be a good fit, and he knows our kids here, he knows the staff's gonna be all new, and he and Clay have talked, I think, quite a bit, and so. Yeah, I know he's excited.
But we are still needing to fill in it.
I know, I
No,
think
we got that one.
we got that one filled too.
I think,
We might have did we? fill? I think we did fill middle school, right? But it's.
yeah, it's, Kevin Mason.
Oh, yeah, a lady from here in Baxter.
Yeah.
Did we approve that already too?
I think we just approved the resignation.
I don't remember seeing
Okay,
this.
because we could approve both of those contracts, knowing that we'll have to fill on the dollar amounts. Yeah, this gal is actually from Baxter and saw our ad on Facebook or something, right?
I don't know how. it
I
came
feel
about.
like she saw our ad on Facebook and contacted Rob and Clay or somebody, and we're like, wait, what, you live in Baxter and you're a science? Okay, come on in, yeah. So they, Rob and Clay interviewed her and were just, had their socks knocked off, because then they were like, well, would you want high school? And she's like, no, she loved middle school, that was her thing, she wanted middle school science. And Kayla Mason. I think she lives out by,
She lives in
Kyle.
new,
like a,
pole barn building, the house.
like out on the road, kind of by Bethany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe that's,
And no, if it's not in last month's.
No, that's where I'm looking. So let's, we'll just add them both on there if you guys are okay with that. Are you okay with that? I don't wanna rush anything.
We're gonna approve
Yeah,
that feature, I think that's been brought to us.
New pool. That about Crankies?
yeah, it's right next to Creek.
Between Crankies?
Maybe, it's over in that general area.
Well, I think it's not a pole barn, is it?
Well, that
It's-
middle,
Chevy,
it's like that middle,
On the north side of the road?
Yeah,
That's the one we're talking about, right?
yeah,
That's the only one I can envision.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I call it, I mean, it's a.
Not the new one out there in the middle of the blacktop. Not that. one.
No, it's
Yeah.
on the Bethany
It's
Road.
Bethany.
Okay.
Right next door to Grady's.
Cool.
Yeah, and they have,
Randy and,
they have some, child in the district, I think.
Right,
Elementary.
Militia, right?
Yeah,
That's not a pole barn. That's that house Craig McKibben had Danny build it for Craig and it's a nice house.
is it metal?
No,
Then it's not the house I'm thinking of, because I thought it was the metal.
I can't think of a metal.
Randy and
Is it
Deb.
Shed out on that.
Randy and Deb built that.
That's Randy and Deb.
Oh, I don't know, I just know it's like.
This is actually between Randy and Deb and Kyle.
Yeah, between the two Crankies.
Yep.
Well, Adam Moore's place,
That's a TV show.
right?
Rabbit hole, rabbit hole.
Yeah,
All right, yeah.
anyway, she lives in the district, so.
Good.
So
We're
we
excited
can
to have her.
now.
So, yeah.
Yep,
let's
Kayla,
just-
I'm putting her in there right now. Kayla Mason as,
Middle school
middle
science.
school science. And Bill Funnemark as high school science.
Make a motion, we approve those two contracts.
Second.
What's in favor? Say
Aye.
aye. Say no. Two contracts been approved.
Okay.
Okay,
I hope you guys
so,
don't need a whole long explanation of the next one.
Yeah.
okay, go into closed session.
Yeah, we'll go into closed session to discuss the negotiation process.
Shut it,
Was it?
just shut it, yeah.
To the